Yo, it's your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, back at you with a new video. Today is Wednesday, January 10th, 2024, with your boy Ryan and the Northwest Sports Fanatics. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button either now or on your way out. Donate to your boy if you can. Cash App, $ ORION NWSF, or the YouTube Super Chat right here. We got Wednesday night hockey, the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Colorado Avalanche. The second matchup in a doubleheader on TNT versus the Minnesota Wild and the Dallas Stars. Stars up 5-2 with about 6 minutes left in the third period. We will be going over that, as well as Pete Carroll, Nick Saban. We haven't heard anything from Bill Belichick just yet, but a wild day on the coaching scene. And we got a really good matchup with the Vegas Golden Knights and the Colorado Avalanche as well. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. And shout out to all the people watching on Twitter/X. Megan starting off the dono train. $20 dono. Shell shocked. Sucker punch. Doesn't come close to how I feel with the news from Seattle. Knew it was coming. Most of the 12s have been respectful. There's some laughing when Pete choked up. And you won the puck. Well, that's good. I'm glad that you ended up winning the puck there. $2 dono. So glad I got Pete's name and number on the throwback. Absolutely. John in the building. What's good? And let's go over some photos that we can squeeze in for Megan. We can do Pete Carroll or anything else that she wants at this point. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks, a little bit of Cactus Jack. Bang, bang, $20 dono. So that got us started off onto a good note. And then we got another tour here as well. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks, a little Cactus Jack. Bang, bang. There we go. 88 to go to be able to actually 78 to go before we end up hitting the goal. I appreciate you very, very much. Let's go, baby. And then obviously we still got about 5 minutes left with this 5-2 matchup with the Stars. And let's get some music queued up here. And then obviously we got Captain Jack Eichel on the left and Nathan McKinnon on the right. I'm very excited for this matchup, and this is the first matchup that I am able to do on stream between two of the top maybe 8 powerhouses in the NHL. And for a while, they were two of maybe the top 3, top 4, but other teams are starting to gain a little bit of ground. And then I got the Avalanche spinning logo, and then I was able to get the Vegas Golden Knights with their spinning puck logo as well, and then with the Avs. I'm ready. Let's go, baby. And then I'll wait for Megan to decide what she wants to do for photos, and we can end up, scrolling in some Pete Carroll. I got a few prepped here already as well. And then with Nick Saban stepping down, and obviously with Jim Harbaugh rumors, going to the NFL, the college landscape is going to be very different. And Saban moving on, from the college game, with these NIL deals and, people transferring out. The advantage that Alabama and Nick Saban had for many, many years has kind of gone away, and now it's more of an even playing field. And that has to be part of the reason why maybe Saban is deciding to walk away at this point. I mean, he could definitely still coach, for many more years, but I definitely feel kind of like college football is changing. And, and obviously with, Nick Saban leaving, Alabama and retiring, who's going to be at the top of the list? Oregon Ducks coach Dan Lanning is one of the top 2 names that is not only rumored, but, would make sense. Same thing with Washington coach with DeBoa, and Lane Kiffin, and a few others, that may or may not actually be in the running and whatnot. But I hope that Oregon gets to keep their coach, because the last thing that I want is to have a brand new coach tell us that he's going to stay here for the long haul. And then what happens? They only stay for a year or two, Willie Taggart. Then the alma mater, Florida State, comes a calling when they fire their coach. See you, Willie, right? Then we get a guy, Mario Cristobal. I was like, oh, I love this guy. This is the best coach that I've liked since Chip Kelly. And then all of a sudden Miami decides to fire their head coach, and then Mario Cristobal decides to leave. Now, obviously, we know with Dan Lanning, he came from Georgia, obviously with Kirby Smart. So if they ever decide to fire Kirby Smart, Lanning would definitely be off the top of the list. But with Alabama, now with a need, and obviously a lot of people that are going to be probably opting out of Alabama in the next 24 to 48 hours, unless they make a splash hire like tomorrow morning. And hopefully that splash hire tomorrow morning is not is not Dan Lanning, because if you think if Harbaugh goes to the NFL, right, and then Saban is out, right, you got Ryan Day, you got Dan Lanning, you got Kirby Smart, but it's starting to feel like Oregon, could end up being a powerhouse top 3, top 5 team moving forward, not only with Lanning, but recruiting. So I don't want to miss out on that. I want Oregon to actually have a chance to be able to get a natty, but it definitely, it shows you that, this coaching carousel that we're on with Nick Saban, obviously retiring, Bill Belichick still in New England for now, but may get fired or possibly, decide to retire. We'll see where that goes. I don't think he's going to retire. They maybe would fire him and he'd maybe go to another place and coach. I think Belichick's name would have a lot of people wanting him, even though he's kind of an old school coach now. And it feels like maybe, I don't want to say his time has passed. I mean, if he gets on the right type of team, he could get himself back in contention, but definitely not with the New England Patriots. No photos? All right. Well, you let me know if you change your mind. I got a few Pete Carroll photos here as well. And, any buddy that loves Pete or doesn't like Pete, they didn't see this coming today. Anyone that is like saying, oh, I knew it was coming today, they did not. No one on planet Earth knew that Pete Carroll and this situation was going to happen today. People can always rumor, like, oh, maybe they're going to get rid of Schneider and Carroll. Hell, they've been saying that for the last 5 to 10 years. They didn't know it was going to be today. It was a shocker. But at least they didn't fire him, completely. Like, he's still going to be a part of the organization as like an advisor. So it is truly not a, goodbye, or forever goodbye. He's still with the organization, just not at head coach. And then obviously we know Nick Saban retired, and then we'll find out where Belichick and Harbaugh go. What a crazy off-season that we've had here in just a matter of 10 days into 2024. The landscape of the NFL and the landscape of college football is dramatically changing in front of our very eyes. Yeah, but I don't think anyone, anticipated it being today. And honestly, no one knows, unless you're actually in the room, in the boardroom in that facility. Like I said, anyone can speculate and anyone can, be rumored, if they want to go to a different direction. And obviously, once you get to 70, 71, 72 years old and you get up there, sometimes they are going to be looking to make a change, just like they do sometimes with quarterbacks. They are going to give a quarterback and a coach so much time, and sometimes they decide to go into a different direction. So hopefully, something good can come out of it. It's not going to be the same for you, Megan, because Pete's like your number one. It's your favorite, and I know, Harbaugh, on Michigan, right? And you don't like him. You like John for the Ravens, right? But if it were to happen that Jim, was considering maybe New England or maybe the Patriots or maybe the Chargers, and then now the Seahawks job is, opened up. If you ended up getting a guy, like Jim Harbaugh, he could definitely get the Seahawks not only into playoff contention quickly, that you would be considered a Super Bowl contender within a couple years. So, if you got to look at it, okay, if we have to come to terms that Pete is not the head coach anymore, just an advisor in the building, who's the best coach that's out there that can win on the college level or the NFL level? And remember, we've only had 3 coaches win natties and win, Super Bowls. Barry Switzer, right? Oklahoma, and obviously with the Dallas Cowboys. Jimmy Johnson with the U and the Dallas Cowboys, and then Pete Carroll, USC, and the Seattle Seahawks. So we know Harbaugh just got, the championship there with Michigan, and I know things are moving really, really fast. But if they were to land Harbaugh, that would be the best coach, that you could possibly get. I'm not sold on Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn is just a rumor that they just want to throw out there because he's one of the best defensive coordinators. We saw Dan Quinn try to be a head coach somewhere else, and how did that work out? Not very well. So some guys are just better off as defensive coordinators and offensive coordinators, and I don't think Dan Lanning would be a good head coach. I'm just being real. I feel that, could he do it? Yeah, he could do it, and obviously he's got ties with Seattle, you know what I'm saying? But if you don't have, a good play caller on offense, and then also you have to be the leader, and have that leadership role. Some guys are just better off calling plays rather than calling plays and being the face of the franchise and a leader. So for me, if I was the Seahawks, and even with that connection that I have with Dan Lanning, and if I had a choice between Dan Lanning, arguably one of the top 2 or 3 defensive coordinators in the land, or with Jim Harbaugh, if Michigan, he decides to leave, and he would end up being the new Nick Saban if he decides to stay. He could end up making Michigan the new Alabama if he stays for the next 5 or 10 years. But if that's not in the works and that's not in the plans, as good as maybe the Charger job looks, and obviously being able to work with like a Justin Herbert, right? The Seattle Seahawks job would be just as good in most people's eyes, actually probably better than the Chargers, because the Seahawks don't have an injury curse. And every year, it doesn't matter who the coach is, it seems like they always have their star players get hurt. Seattle's not so much. So if it was me, to be a challenge, kind of ironic, going from the whole Seahawks and the whole, Michigan thing there, if we could see Jim, make a move. I know it would be weird because a lot of those memories, of the Hawks and the Niners going at it. But remember, just because you may not like a guy right now, right? Just because you may not like a guy right now doesn't mean like a guy that you may not like, or maybe you like, may join the rival. Look at Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman was a 12. He was a Hawk. He was a Hawk. He was a Hawk. And then he's like, went to the 49ers, right? And then they're like, oh, boo him, right? And then if he wants to, try to come back, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're always going to get these situations where you have athletes that end up being on the team. They leave. Maybe they come back. Maybe they don't, so we'll see where it goes, and again, Michigan can offer as much as they want, and they got plenty of boosters, and they got plenty of people that can give him more, but there is no guarantee that Harbaugh stays, because you already climbed the pinnacle, and you already climbed the mountain. The thing is, though, $12 million is nothing. You know what I mean? Like I said, with these head coaches, you can get a lot of money in college. You can get a lot of money in the NFL, right? But it all really depends on if you have goals, right? Do you want to be, Nick Saban? You want to be the college football god? You want to be the guy that runs the show and being the number one guy? And with Saban, moving on, right now Harbaugh is kind of the king of the castle. But if he decided, hey, instead of building a dynasty and winning maybe 2 or 3, or whatever that situation is, and he's like, I want to go to the NFL now, and I want to try to win a Super Bowl, just like Barry Switzer, just like Jimmy Johnson, just like Pete Carroll. Like I said, if it was me and I had a choice between Seattle, New England, or the Los Angeles Chargers, I would choose Seattle. But again, that might not be something that he wants to do. He might not want Seattle, and Seattle may not want him. But if you really think about the coaches that are possibly available, Harbaugh is the best on the market, whether it's college or if it's the NFL. So. Mr. Williams in the building. What's good? Do you have anything that you want to see for photos? How long are you in here for? Are you in here for a little bit? I didn't get a chance to get you too many photos. I tried to do some Shohei Ohtani for you, and some Puka and some Rams players and whatnot. Let me know. Obviously, if there's anything specific that any of y'all want to see, I'd appreciate it. Yeah, so crazy news, as of late, like it's only been 10 days into January, and Nick Saban, the college football god, retires. And I assume that a big part of it is the NIL and the transfer process, where you're going to have a new quarterback pretty much every year. No love, no loyalty, no commitment. So, as far as Alabama is concerned, they're not winning titles every year anymore. It's like every 3 years with like LSU, Georgia, Michigan, and these other teams catching up. So you no longer have the advantage as the Alabama Crimson Tide with all those 5-star athletes that you were getting over the other schools. It was pretty much them in Georgia that were getting a majority, and then all the rest were going to like Michigan, Ohio State, and then a few other schools would get the rest. So since there's no competitive advantage now, for Alabama to dominate over the other schools, Saban walks away. There's a big hole. Dan Lanning, from the Oregon Ducks is one of the lead candidates. I hope that he doesn't leave to go there. And obviously with Jim Harbaugh, coached on the Niners, very good. Went to Michigan, didn't win a Super Bowl, with the Niners, lost to the Ravens, but obviously just won the Natty with Michigan. And he may re-sign with Michigan, or he may come to the NFL. I know he's a hungry kind of guy with a lot to prove. And I honestly think that Harbaugh is only one of the very few coaches that could win on both levels, and he's probably the last one that could do it. Barry Switzer, Timmy Johnson, Pete Carroll, and now you got Harbaugh. Harbaugh is probably the only guy that could win it on both ends, and even a guy like, Nick Saban, even trying the NFL scene, he wasn't able to do it on that end. So I don't know. I mean, if you got a coach as good as that, I mean, you're going to offer a lot of money. So it really just depends on, and also the other coaches are going to be able to negotiate to get more money. If you're Lane Kiffin, if you're DeBoa, if you're Dan Lanning, if you're James Franklin, if you're Dabo Sweeney, if you're any of these other guys that are kind of floating around in the rumor process, it's going to be a good negotiation to get more, from your current school, or to possibly see if you actually can get a job somewhere else. But I mean, even though that Alabama is a top 4 job, you got to think with Oregon and Dan Lanning, that is a top 4 job. So you just be leaving one top 4 job for another, but you may be able to get better recruiting at Alabama because it's Alabama. But it also depends, what your track record is and how good you are. Imagine if Harbaugh went to Alabama, nothing would change. It would be the same Alabama team, and they would be able to win natties there too. So very, very interesting to see where everything goes. But let me know what you want to do for photos, and I got you. Yeah, Ogeron has zero chance. I mean, why the hell would you have Ogeron, go after Saban? You know what I'm saying? That wouldn't work whatsoever. I don't think he's terrible, but there's 0% chance they have Ogeron as a head coach. It's got to be someone high profile, big name that you poach away from another school. So. I mean, this is fucking Alabama. We're not talking about Alabama Tech. We're not talking about some fucking small school. We're talking about one of the top 4 schools, in the nation for college football. Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Georgia. And then you got other schools like Oregon that are trying to get in there. So. Yeah, we'll see where it goes, but I wouldn't be shocked in any scenario whatsoever. All right, let me see what we got here. Let me get some photos up. You got a specific name? I'm looking through your roster. Which guy do you want me to throw up? I mean, pretty much your whole roster is a bunch of rookies. So, Let me know exactly specifically who you want to see, and I got you, bro. Hey, we can still show some love. We can show some love, baby. But still with the organization. So nothing lasts forever. And then hopefully the next person they have that, is in there probably won't last 14 years. More than likely will be less than that, but hopefully it'll be someone that can, carry the shoes that Pete Carroll, ended up leaving those good footprints and steps in, for a legacy. So. I was gonna say Kobe Turner would be the one that you would want me, but there's others too. So good choice. How's your day going overall? Pretty good. You work today? Are you just on a break or? I'll give you a throwback. They don't have a whole lot of him available, but they will. College and then pro. Swag, 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 swag. The conductor. Got work leaving early. Routine, yeah. Yeah, this weekend is going to be fun. There'll be all kinds of upsets. Close games. Try squeezing as many photos in for you and Megan if Megan wants any. Otherwise, I'll squeeze in some photos based off your generous donations that you did yesterday. You definitely helped us out tremendously, and I was able to pay my Ziply bill, my internet bill, with your generosity, so that I can keep the dream going. So I do appreciate that very much. Tell you what, I wouldn't want to be playing the Rams or the Browns or the Bills this weekend. I'll tell you that. I could definitely see, I'm not sure all of them upsetting, but it wouldn't surprise me if one or two, end up doing something a little bit crazier than people think. It's not about being the best team. It's about being hot, and it's about being healthy. And if you can be hot and healthy, and there's no one, I don't want to say healthy for Buffalo, but they've been kind of hot like the Rams and the Browns. The healthy part, not so much for Buffalo on that defense, but getting rid of Dorsey, getting Brady to be able to call the plays, and then using James Cook as like a number one, not an RB2 or an RB3. And as far as you guys, you got Kobe Turner making splash plays. Luka is a superstar. Kyron is a superstar. And like I kept telling everybody, Sean McVay is a genius, and he's a lot better than people want to give him credit for. And I've been saying this for a long, long time, years ago, that I told y'all that Sean McVay, right, as well as who? Kyle Shanahan, that they were going to end up getting Super Bowls sooner than later within the next 5 to 10 years. And obviously McVay got his, and the 49ers might end up getting theirs this year. We'll find out. Obviously, if the Ravens end up playing them, they'll have something to say about that. But I could definitely see the Niners getting payback and getting revenge. But as far as an intellectual mind, there is not very many guys as smart as someone like him. And look at the roster that he has. He's got all rookies. It's like one of the youngest rosters in the NFL. And he was able to get them to the playoffs with a very, very thin roster. And not only that, he was able to turn guys that would have been nobodies probably on other teams, right? A guy that would just have been a puka, just like another third string option on another team, into a guy that is one of the best in the NFL already, giving him an opportunity. And also with Kyron Williams looking like he could be a top 10, top 12 back, moving forward as long as he gets enough touches. Both of the guys are going to be in fantasy drafts a lot higher, based on what they did this season. Smart dog. My picks, what am I for the Super Bowl? It's too early. The bookies are waiting. Obviously, as of right now, me watching the film and watching the tape and knowing upsets, but it's very clear. You could be a football expert, or you could be someone that just goes on social media and watches here and there. But it definitely is clear. The Ravens and Niners are clearly the two best teams, right? And then obviously, if you want to throw the Cowboys in there, I would say the Cowboys have been playing, even though they're a team that always gets hated on and whatnot, this is the best chance the Cowboys have right now, this year, to be able to make an NFC championship game. If they have to go to San Fran and go to California in the NFC championship game, I don't see them winning that, but I could see them possibly overachieving and getting to the game. All right, here's the puck drop. Let's go. But, I would say Ravens, Niners for now, and I could see that going either way. Vegas Golden Knights, Colorado Avalanche. Let's go, baby. I appreciate you. Oh, Bronstein. I didn't even see him yesterday. I was looking for him in the whole broadcast, and they never zoomed in. Unless they, zoomed in when I went to go get like a Snapple, or I went to go get some water, or whatever, use the restroom. I don't usually leave too often, throughout the stream for that long. Yeah, but you got to understand, though, it's what wins games and what wins championships. CJ Stroud or the defense? So you got to think, who's got the better O-line, D-line, defense, coaching, and play calling? So you got Stefanski, you know what he's doing, on that side. And then you obviously got to look at the defensive coordinator, So I know that CJ Stroud is more popular, and he looks like he'll end up being a top 10 quarterback moving forward, and as high as maybe top 5 sooner than later. But other than CJ Stroud, Flacco has been playing just as good as him, in the last 6 weeks, and, if you look at the overall body of the team, Cleveland's team is better. Can the Texans win that game? Yes, but I don't think they will. I would assume that Cleveland's defense will make it very difficult on CJ Stroud. So it's one thing you're making plays against the Colts, but the Browns defense is better than the Colts, even though the Colts defense was pretty good, in the last, 6 to 7 weeks, but they also had games where they played bad. So there was games where they were putting up 10 to 20 fantasy points, somewhere in that range. But then there was also games where the Colts defense was putting up a 2 and they played bad. So I think the Browns defense has been a little bit more consistent, and consistency is king. Oh, we're slapping that puck. Slapping around, baby. Daniel in the building. What's good? $22. Let's get to a hundo. And I can get some more photos for y'all. Let me know. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how everything plays out with the coaches, the new hires, who goes where, if Oregon loses their coach again. I mean, I already had to go through this with Willie Taggart to Florida State and Mario Cristobal to the U to Miami. The last thing I want to see is after Dan Lanning is starting to build all these recruits and we're starting to have like top five in, and being able to invest in guys from high school and the recruiting and thinking that, okay, we're getting a lot of these really talented players that normally would never come to Oregon. They would be going to Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, Bama, somewhere other than Oregon. And then if he ends up taking the Bama job, I mean, I already know that he could have success there. Anyone going to Bama, could have some decent success. But unless you have good name recognition, it's not going to be the same like Saban. If it was like Urban Meyer, it could be like Saban results. If it was Jim Harbaugh, Saban results. If it was Dan Lanning, maybe not Saban results, but close, based off recruiting until they actually won, then it would be like Saban. But, unless you're like one of the bigger names, just because you're Ryan Day or Dan Lanning or DeBoa doesn't mean that these big high school All-Americans that committed to Saban, they're going to say, yep, I'm going to stay. They probably will dip. Like I said, just because you bring in another guy doesn't mean that Alabama is going to be the same. Instead of being a top 5 program, what happens if Alabama ends up being top 15 and they lose a little bit of that luster and that magic because Saban's not there? Like Alabama is still good, but instead of going undefeated, maybe they lose 1 or 2 games every year and they start going down a little bit. Instead of being a top 4 team, they're still not as bad as top 25. They'll never get that bad, but maybe they end up being top 10, top 15. Good, but not elite or great anymore. So, and remember, Oklahoma and Texas are joining the SEC with Georgia and Bama. So now Kirby Smart is salivating at Georgia, Oklahoma, and Texas. Love it. And we'll figure out if Oregon loses their coach or not. I hope not. But we'll see what happens. Sarkisian would be, someone that could take that job. Lane Kiffin, could be someone that can take that job. But if it was me, and you're looking at, opportunities, what happens, if you don't get Harbaugh and you don't get Dan Lanning, or if you're not looking at that direction and Lanning is true to his words and he stays at Oregon, what happens if you give the job to Sarkisian and then Sarkisian tells Arch Manning, hey, let's go to Bama together. And then Arch transfers, and then you got Sarkisian and Arch Manning on Alabama. If that happens, then you're not going to have that much of a drop-off, and you get a better quarterback that Bama's had in a while, unless you think Mac Jones is good. So, or Jalen Milroe, not really. So, that could be something interesting where you get a guy, but it ends up leading to being more than just a guy. You might be able to bring people with you, just like, Lincoln Riley bringing over Caleb Williams from Oklahoma to USC, the same type of thing. So something to keep an eye on there as well. Matt in the building, what's good? You better pray that he doesn't leave. And, of course, any coach can say, oh, I love it here, and my family's here, I'm dedicated to here, I'm not about money, I'm not about a better position. They can say that at that time, but it's not that often that you're going to have, like, maybe a Michigan opening or an Alabama opening or Ohio State. It's like, you're a big program too. Oregon is now a top 5, top 10 program, right? But even though we haven't won a natty, but we're getting close, right? Just like Washington. Washington and Oregon are getting close, right? But we're still not Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, Bama in most people's eyes, and I totally get that, 100%. But if these other guys leave, Oregon is going to be able to take advantage and move up. And, moving forward, depending on what happens, if we keep landing, Oregon could end up being a top 5 school moving forward in the next 10 years, like the new powerhouse. We might even win the Big Ten next year, first year, right out of the gate. It's possible, especially if Lanning stays. And then if that happens, maybe we end up being a top 3 team where it ends up being like, Michigan, Georgia, Oregon, or Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, where we're like right there. And it kind of feels like we're trending for that. But again, we can't lose Lanning. And at least Kirby Smart didn't, decide to, retire, because then that would be probably more of a risk, because that's where Lanning came from. But I mean, the Alabama job, to act like it's not a coveted job is ridiculous. But you have to have an aura or a swagger, like a Chip Kelly swagger for it to work. if you don't got the Chip Kelly swagger and you just hire anybody, they're going to fail. All those guys that committed to Saban are going to be like, no, I'm flipping. And they already lost the number one receiver. They already lost the number one 5-star receiver today. So obviously Bama, with the news that Saban's no longer going to be there, that means to those 5-star athletes, I'm not going to the NFL guaranteed now because Saban's not there. So now I got to be able to reevaluate my options and go to Georgia and Kirby Smart, the rival, or maybe Oregon or Washington or USC, or maybe Michigan or Ohio State, or Texas or Oklahoma. A lot of the guys in the next 48 hours are going to flip and they're going to decommit. So it's going to be very, very interesting if Alabama wants to keep a lot of these guys that were, verbally promising going there. Then they better get a head coach on Alabama like tomorrow or the next day. Otherwise, they're going to lose more. So let them know. We got 5 minutes in, still 0-0. What a weird, crazy day in sports. You got some Rams merch? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, bro. I was actually looking through some of my old shirts that I have too. Like my old Super Bowl shirt from like 2002 that the team wore. I still got the hologram on it and the price tag. New coach can be exciting, it just depends on if you're losing a coach or you're gaining a coach. Like obviously with Megan's situation, I mean, even if they were to bring in Harbaugh, she's not going to be so thrilled about it just because it's not Pete. So I get it. When you love a particular player or coach, it's really hard to see them, either get fired, leave to another team, retire, walk away. It's not an easy process, just like with our favorite players. I remember, losing Warren Sapp and John Lynch to the Raiders and the Broncos, and I was fucking hurt and I was livid. But again, you figure out it ends up being a business. Broken stick by, was that Jack Eichel with the broken stick there? 4 shots on goal for Vegas, 0 for Colorado. I see you, Jack. We'll see where it goes. Oh, Nick Saban is the GOAT. I mean, if you're going to go compared to Saban and Belichick, you could say Saban might be the number one coach. I mean, we don't know what kind of, cheating is going on in college, sign stealing from Harbaugh and all this other shit, you know what I mean? But it can't be to the extent of the cheating that we saw with Bill Belichick and the Patriots, with the spy gate, the deflate gate, anything with a gate at the end, obviously the helmets that have the signal, when you're the head coach and then you're, calling the play in as an offensive coordinator or head coach and you're going against the Patriots and you're in Gillette and everything has been working fine for 3 quarters. But then all of a sudden, mysteriously, in the 4th quarter, when it's 3rd and long and you need the communication to be sharp, the signal goes dead. You think that shit was by accident? Hell no. You already know that the New England employees turned that shit off and changed it to a different frequency, just enough where they wouldn't be able to get enough time, so they would have to audible or whatever it may be. But there's a lot, on, bending the rules and whatnot that they did. And as far as we know, Saban is as clean as any other coach. So there's probably some illegal recruiting and boosters and shit that's going on. But for the most part, with college coaches, they're pretty clean. You know what I mean? If there's any cheating going on, it's usually a booster throwing 10 grand in a duffel and then leaving it in an apartment for a star quarterback, something like that, But as far as a head coach, they already know their legacy's on the line and all the eyes are on them. So if cheating is going on, it's not necessarily going to be done by the head coach. It'll be done by, coordinators, assistants, or people underneath that are trying to help out the team. So get some more likes up, baby. 22 doll hairs. Let's get to a hundo. Oh, yeah, let's do that. Congratulations on the hack puck. I'm glad you were able to come back in here, Mr. Williams. Can't wait for tomorrow. We're on a nice little heater right now. And we play the Caps with Alexander Ovechkin at 4 o'clock tomorrow, so it'll be much earlier in the day for a lot of y'all. I know this is a little late. You know, it's 7:37 here, 9:37 in the Midwest, 10:37 if you're on the East Coast. So shout out to all the people hanging out with your boy for this amazing matchup between the Avs and the Vegas Golden Knights. And honestly, out of all the teams that, you know, I cover, you know, obviously Kraken will always be number one, and it's not even close. But if I were to be able to call games for other teams, the other 3 teams that are at the top of the list for me are the Vegas Golden Knights, the Colorado Avalanche, and the Dallas Stars. Those are the 3 that I enjoy. And also it shows like what Seattle is going to have to overcome if we end up wanting to be, you know, Stanley Cup champions or to even get to the Stanley Cup final. You know, there's a lot of really, really good teams, you know, that we're going to have to battle year in and year out. And I really do enjoy, you know, McKinnon. I like Jack Eichel. I like the Stars and what they bring, you know, with their, with Anja and everyone else that they got over there as well. So it's like every squad has got a few players that are kind of special, and you're always going to get good quality hockey out of Vegas, Colorado, Dallas, and Seattle, and that's what it's about, baby. All right, man, I'll get you some more photos next time you come in. I love you, and I appreciate you, brother. Let me get a Shohei Ohtani as he's leaving. Can't wait for baseball. Shout out to you, Mr. Williams. 5 shots on goal for Vegas, 0 for Colorado, and we're already 8 minutes in. That's wild. Crazy. Just like this. Shohei Ohtani dodges. My guy, Mr. Williams. I appreciate you, brother. Dodges. 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 I can't wait. I'll be doing a lot of Dodgers and a lot of Mariners. I'll be doing a lot of baseball in general, but anytime the Mariners have a day off, who do you think the first team that we're going to do? Dodgers, 100%. Colorado finally got their first shot on goal. Finally. Jeez. And we'll get more photos up as we go. Hell no. I mean, if you were a Bama fan, Sarah, would you want Dabo? Fuck no. He ain't the same, head coach when they had Trevor Lawrence and all that. The whole Clemson recruiting and vibe is in the shitter. That would be one of my last choices. I would rather go DeBoer. I would rather go Dan Lanning. I would rather go Sarkisian. You know, hell, Urban Meyer. There's a lot of Harbaugh, Ryan Day. There'd be a lot of people. I mean, Dabo wouldn't even the only one Dabo would be ahead of is maybe like James Franklin from like Penn State. And that's like, what are we talking about? Like neither one, deserves it. But if I had to go between those two, nobody wants him. He's not the same coach anymore. Lanning and DeBoer, Harbaugh, Ryan Day from Ohio State. I mean, there's going to be a lot more guys. Kirby Smart ain't going nowhere. If you got to look at like the coaches that are the top dogs right now, Harbaugh, obviously we already know that, Saban is gone. Kirby Smart, and we'll see if Harbaugh comes back to Michigan or not. Ryan Day, Ohio State, Dan Lanning, Oregon, DeBoer, Washington, so those are kind of the upper echelon and whatnot. Franklin can recruit, but I mean, if you had your choice and you were in charge of Alabama, the net moves, right? And like I said, you had all these options. What would James Franklin be on your list? Honestly, he would literally be out of like on a scale of like 10 guys. Franklin's probably like my 9th or 10th guy. I don't even think I would want him at that point. Instead of getting a head coach, for me, I would probably go somewhere either on the NFL side, right? If there was an opening for someone that I think that could do it, or a big coordinator that is up and coming, that you get a guy a job that he's in his late 20s and he could be like the next big thing, but I wouldn't do James Franklin. Hell no. He might be able to recruit, but not good enough to win a natty. You know what I mean? Not good enough to even win the fucking Big Ten. So, I mean, not that good of a recruit. I mean, all right, but I don't hear people clamoring over fucking James Franklin. Let's just be real, Like Penn State's all right, but they're not beating Ohio State or Michigan. Like the best that Penn State can hope for in the Big Ten is third, and now with Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA, there goes that dream. Penn State ain't finishing fucking in third with all those other teams coming in. You know, Dan Quinn. I don't think Dan Quinn's a head coach. Like I told y'all, I think he's a coordinator, and I don't think him going to Seattle would be a good move. You know, like I said, we already seen him at head coach in Atlanta. How did that go? Not very good. You know, some guys are just better at calling plays. Some guys are just better at coordinator. You know, like Josh McDaniels as a head coach, boo. But Josh McDaniels as a play caller with Bill, yay. That's good. You know what I mean? Like you just got to be able to understand what you're good at. Big save. There we go. Colorado with a couple slap shots there. Now it's 5-3. Halfway through the first period, Vegas, Colorado knotted up at 0. Sarkisian and Arch Manning, though, you know, you got to look at it from the Caleb Williams, Lincoln Riley standpoint. Going from Oklahoma, where they were pretty good, and then obviously if USC had a better defense, they would have been able to be more in the conversation. But if you can bring Arch Manning with you with Sarkisian, and you can jump from Texas and then go to Bama, I mean, why wouldn't you? You know what I'm saying? Judah is my boy. I like that picture of the harbor that you got going out there. Anytime I see photos of people fishing or hunting or on the water, crabbing, you know, whatever it may be, or just pictures of, you know, boats on the water, it's a very comforting thing because, like I said, my first job was with my dad, you know, and my dad's friend Randy at 12 when I was making $20 an hour, where we were doing crawdads and crayfish, and we were selling them commercially to like Pacific Seafood and Jake's, which was a famous place here in Oregon that did a lot of seafood and whatnot. So I love it, man. Keep posting the photos. I love it. But we'll see. You know, we'll see on how it goes. But Harbaugh, is he going to stay at Michigan or is he going to go? And then obviously, if Harbaugh does go, you know, why would you go to New England when you could end up going to the Chargers or Seattle? I'm not sure if the Chargers and Seattle have interest. I assume they do. You know, but we'll have to see on you know, where that goes. And it would be kind of ironic if Harbaugh ended up going to Seattle. You know, after all those rivalries with the Niners and with the Seahawks. You know, obviously with the Legion of Boom and Cap and obviously with guys, you know, that they had at linebacker like Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis, and they're like, you know, oh, you know, I don't like this guy. I don't like this guy. Same thing with like Sherman once he ended up going to the Niners. You know, you love him, you love him, you love him, then he leaves. It would be really ironic if Harbaugh ended up going to Seattle. And honestly, if he did, it would probably give you guys the closest chance to get back to being a Super Bowl contender than anybody else that you could bring in. You know, there's a lot of other names that would be floating around, but I would rather have Harbaugh than Belichick in Seattle if that was even an option. You know, because you know, because if you end up having Belichick, maybe he brings in McDaniels and maybe you have something cooking depending on the roster. But I don't know. Harbaugh is more of a hot commodity than I think with Bill Belichick at this point in Billy B's career. Bill Belichick doesn't move the needle. Harbaugh does. So. No, we don't want to. We don't want to make any bets about Dan Lanning leaving and whatnot. I hope Dan stays. But I mean, obviously, if any job like Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, Bama open up, you know, you're going to be listening, you know, and looking. And the only reason that you wouldn't be looking is if you think Oregon can be just on that same level. And obviously, with recruiting, he's showing that it can be. So on, you know, Dan Lanning might be the one guy where he's got a place where he could stay and things can be fine. Like we could end up winning the Natty with Lanning. But if he thinks that, you know, the recruiting and getting the offensive linemen and defensive linemen that are 6'8", 350, and we're never going to get those guys, even though we did get some this offseason. But if he thinks that he can get more of them with Alabama and people will, you know, he'll recruit them there, then obviously you're going to be able to get names at Alabama and Georgia that Oregon, Ohio State, and Michigan will never see. You know, and a lot of times it's those big boys up front. And if you got big boys up front, as you saw in the Michigan game against Washington, you win natties. You got bigger guys up front that can pancake, you will win. O-line, D-line are king in college football. So we'll see. Not JT in the building. What's good? All right, go play some video games. It's all good. I mean, I think some of it has to do with age, and wanting to go into another direction. I want to be able to see with Schneider if he keeps his job. How much longer does he keep his job there? Or not? And then if they have an idea, because it's not like they fired him completely and say, see you later. He's still a part of the organization, which is a little rare. Because a lot of times when you coach for a long, long time, you're done, and then you have a kind of a divorce, and you go your own direction. It's not often that you coach for 14 years and you're at the kind of the end of your coaching career and then you stay as an advisor to the team, which is pretty cool. So it's not like a goodbye forever. He's still going to be in the building. He's just not coaching the team. Not like with a Saban retiring and walking away, or Bill Belichick maybe, leaving or getting fired. We'll have to wait and see. And also with Harbaugh, deciding if he stays at Michigan or if he takes an NFL job. Let's get to 20. Let's do that. Nice save. Oh, here we got a scrap. All right, Colorado and Vegas about to fight. Oh, boy, Jones has got his helmet off. He says, I'm ready to punch that guy in the mouth. Vegas is like, we're all 6'8", and we're all like 260. What are you going to do? Yeah, and you got to also remember there's only 3 coaches that have won it on the college level in the NFL: Barry Switzer, Jimmy Johnson, Pete Carroll, and there's only one other guy that can join that group is Jim Harbaugh. So it all, he got close with the Niners but couldn't beat the Ravens. But I think if Jim Harbaugh can climb the college football mountain and recruit well for a couple years, get guys like Aiden Hutchinson, and then finally get over the top with Corum and J.J. McCarthy. Who's to say that Harbaugh can't win it all? I wouldn't bet against him. If he ends up coming to the NFL, I mean, it might take him 5 to 6 years, and depending on the team that he goes to. But I wouldn't be shocked if Harbaugh goes to the NFL, whether it be this year or in the future, and then he at least gets himself into Super Bowl contention and to try to be able to be that guy to be 4th on the list to do both. Nice save. Yeah. Well, plus it's going to affect you more because you love him more than probably anyone on planet Earth. So again, some Seahawk fans are happy. Some Seahawk fans are classless. Some Seahawk fans are confused. Some Seahawk fans are sad, for all the good memories and whatnot. So you're going to get a wide variety of emotions and whatnot. Classless fans and good ones too. But yeah, no one saw this coming today. To act like, oh, we saw it coming from, a long time ago. Yeah, it's been rumored for like 5 or 10 years, but no one thought today, January 10th, 2024, was going to be it. So, but I am happy to hear that he's still going to be in the building. And I imagine he'll have a little, maybe opinion on who to bring in. And then we'll see what happens with Seattle moving forward. Sad day, but also you could view it as exciting, to see like who they end up, getting that job and who they promote into that space. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, I mean, his legacy is already cemented. You know what I mean? Like, and if you look at the Barry Switzer and Jimmy Johnson and Pete Carroll, they're all different personalities. All of them coach differently, but they were able to communicate on the highest level on both with, young men in college and then the guys, that had the egos and the more money, on the NFL side. So but the college football scene is going to be definitely not in, Georgia, Alabama dominating every year. Those days are over. And I think that's a big reason why Saban decided to leave, because he knows that, there's no longer an advantage for his team, with like 50 NFL players compared to playing someone that's got 5. Like the advantage is over now with NIL deals and with these quarterbacks pretty much switching teams every year. You're not going to have that advantage that you did years ago. So, everyone is kind of, on an even playing field now. It's no longer Georgia, Bama. Now it's Georgia, Bama, Michigan, Ohio State, Oregon, Washington, Texas, and, a few others. Like we're all kind of grouped in. Now you can obviously put Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, Michigan a little bit higher, and then some of the others, because we haven't won it yet, Oregon, Washington. But, we're trying. We're getting there. We're trying to get closer. Yeah. I'm very interested to see what they do. And then if they end up letting Bill go, if they bring in Vrabel, since he got let go from the Titans, Patriot way, that would be a seamless transition if they wanted to go that route. Now, I wouldn't. Now, is Vrabel the guy to get them to the Super Bowl? No, it's just a name, and they'll eventually fire Vrabel as well. But if Vrabel can get them to 10 wins, and then they can actually compete with the Dolphins and the Bills and get back into the conversation of being kind of a wild card team at 10 or 11 wins, then Vrabel will be able to keep his job for a few years, but eventually they'll fire him and try to find someone better. But I would assume if you want a quick fix, Vrabel to the Pats would be something that I think most Pats fans would not be jumping for joy, but at least they would feel familiar with the name and the player, and knowing it's not going to be Bill. But honestly, in the last few years, Bill hasn't really done anything. So if Vrabel can get them to 10 wins and get them a quarterback like a Drake May, maybe it would be good for New England fans to have that new wave to move on from Bill, and then and then eventually try to find whether it be Vrabel or someone else to go there and move forward. So that's kind of my view on it. Less than 5 minutes to go in the first period. We're knotted up here at 0. Vegas power play, less than 30 seconds in. 8 shots on goal for the Golden Knights, 5 for the Avalanche. I'm not sure if I would have bet on this matchup. I mean, we got, last time I checked, I think it was last night, both teams are in second place in their respective divisions, normally first, but it seems like other teams are starting to catch up. And we're not talking Seattle because obviously we were at the bottom. And then we're just trying to, get to a wild card spot. Nice save. But I love watching Colorado, Vegas, and Dallas play other than Seattle. They're just so competitive. I don't mind watching Boston or New York Rangers either, but or the Devils for Odin's son. But if I'm picking the teams that I enjoy, the style of play and the superstars that they got, obviously Kraken, Vegas Golden Knights, Avalanche, and then the Stars. Those are the ones I enjoy watching the most. You bet you need Vegas, 5-leg parlay. What did you win on the other 4? So that if you get this one, this is the last one, and then you win. That's tough. New Vegas on the road too, which normally road ice teams sometimes struggle, but I mean if it's Vegas, Colorado, Dallas, I mean they're just as good on the road at home compared to some of the mid teams and the bottom shelf teams, and even if they play a good team, they can find a way to win on the road. So last one. Good luck, man. I hope you end up winning. Yeah, I like hearing news from different parts of the country. So, Judah, you got any Bruins news? You got anything on Belichick or anything on the New England, Boston side, Red Sox news? You got anything you want to be able to bring to the table? Please do. I like being able to hear because, we got Judah out there, in the Northeast. You got Sarah in the Midwest. We got Megan in Australia. We got people like me and Reflect and not JT here on the West Coast. So it's a nice vibe to be able to get different personalities and different vibe and different information, and we can just bring that all together. Vegas did destroy Colorado first game 7-0. I did see that, which is rare, right? Think about that, how crazy that is. Like if you were to think of them playing each other, you would normally think maybe 3-2, 4-3, 5-3, 5-4, maybe a 6-4, but pretty active back and forth, and they're probably scoring goals regardless of who's in net because they're just so fucking good, with their centers, their forwards, hell, even their defensemen can score goals. And if Vegas, Colorado, and Dallas got guys that are like defensemen that can score better than some centers and forwards on other teams, you're fucking in trouble, right? But yeah, that was pretty crazy, Sometimes you can be surprised where it's just a total blowout. But if they were to play again like they are now, we're not getting 7-0. And then when we play it the third time, we're not going to probably get 7-0 either. Smash the like button, baby. 9 shots on goal for the Golden Knights, 7 for Colorado. 2 minutes left in the first. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. I know it's tough for some of us. if you're a Seahawk fan or a Michigan fan or a New England Patriot fan, or at this point even a Duck fan, we're very nervous. A Seahawk fan, it's like you're either gaining a coach, you're losing a coach. Things are changing rapidly in the NFL and college football scene. I save. Oh yeah, especially when we're already at a 0-0 matchup. Maybe the goalies are going to step up, which it feels like it. Doesn't feel like a 5-0 or 7-0, but it definitely feels like I was telling you, like a 3-1, 3-2, type of game, or it could even, be more than that. If they get on a heater in one period, then you go from maybe 1 or 2 goals to maybe 4 or 5 goals. So I just want it to be competitive. I'll throw up your little Vegas Golden Knights with a little puck action. I got spinning logos for both. And with the thumb, you already know what it is. Jack Eichel, Nathan McKinnon, baby. Let them know. Shout out to all the people watching on Twitter/X, as well as the people that are in the room watching on YouTube as well. You guys are awesome. I love you. Appreciate you. So for you, like watching sports in the Boston, Maine, New England, Northeast area, what is your pecking order for teams and like the teams that you love? Like who's on top for you? Is Bruins 1? Is it Patriots 1? Is it Red Sox and Celtics? Like what would you put in your pecking order? 1, 2, 3, 4, or even including college stuff and whatnot in that area. Do you have a pecking order on your teams? Like on which ones are more important to you than others? Or are they just all equally important out there in Boston? Boston Lager. Sox fan first. Favorite Sox player when you were a kid or when you were younger? I mean, I remember watching Roger Clemens way back in the day, Mike Greenwell. Even saying a name like Mike Greenwell gives you street cred because, it's not like the most famous name, but if you collected cards or actually were alive and you were around, I mean, everyone remembered the Wade Boggs and then the whole Don Mattingly vibe, but obviously if you go back to that time period, if you're thinking like 80s and 90s and whatnot, the Mike Greenwell, that's always that one where the player, it might not be like Roger Clemens good, but Greenwell for a few years was pretty badass and definitely a fan favorite. Red Sox, Celtics, Pats, and then the Bees, the Bruins, Rams. Man, right through the crease. Less than 30 seconds to go. It's a battle out there. I like it. That's why we always get people from all over. It's nice to be able to get everyone's story. It's nice to be able to vibe, different age, different race, different, part of the country, different love for different players or teams. Down the road, if I could end up having my own show, separate from like the YouTube thing, and whatnot, it'd definitely be something like What's Your Story starring Orion Michalek, and I love being able to even walk around the neighborhoods and see how people decorate, their houses. Why did they choose the window shade? Why do they have the decorations outside of their house? Why do they have these vehicles? You can kind of get a vibe, when you see people or their stuff. And, sometimes you'll see something interesting, like some old school, Chevy Nova, or something, old school. Like I got this fucking Hot Wheel truck that I walk by. Oh, there it is. 1-0 Colorado. Wow. but there's like this truck. It's like a Hot Wheel, and it's like shit. It's early. It's probably from like the 50s, and it's beat up. It's blue and white, and it's beat the fuck up. But it's just cool. It's just kind of sitting unnaturally, just like on a curb, next to like a residential neighborhood, obviously, and it's not covered or anything. It's out in the elements. But anytime I see stuff like that, it's like I almost want to like knock on the door and like and talk to the owner, and be like, what's the story behind this vehicle? Like, was this your grandpa's? Did you buy this as a restoration? Like, what is the significance of this like 1950, fucking Chevy or Ford, like fucking old school truck? Like, what's the story behind it? Sometimes you'll have a very interesting story. Some it may not be, just like a flipper or whatever. But 1-0 Colorado. Wow. The shoots good. Valerian. Petrushkin. All right, 1-0. Avs. Let me know what you guys want to see for photos. Yeah, baby. Who needs teeth? Valerian Petrushkin. Sweet photo. Let's go. Ellis Burks. That's a great one. Boggs, Greenwell, Clemens, Pedro, Hovan, Manny, Hoppy. Can you imagine when he was like David Urias, and then he ended up changing his name, going from the early stages and then going to the Red Sox. Minnesota Twins, they had no idea what they had. They knew what they had. They would have, not let him change his name, let alone leave the organization. Those are some good ones, man. Try and find a throwback photo. Such a nerd. I like to look at like old school binders that I have of cards that are not worth anything, but just cool to be able to kind of go back in time in that time period. Let's go back in time, Judah. Cool to go back in time. Look at that, the tops. Like something as simple as just like a baseball card, and looking at the clothes and the armband and just like the style of the cards, and it's like it's all together. All of it is all connected. Very cool. He was in Colorado and he had 4 guys hit 40. Like Larry Walker, like Andres Galarraga. That's a fucking name drop, Andres Galarraga. Anyone that knows a Galarraga, then you're like on a whole nother level on sports. Like, there's not very many people. We might be the first people to say Andres Galarraga's name in like 10 years, like on the entire internet. See, your boy knows. Like I said, I ended up meeting, Ken Griffey Jr. when I was 7. So this changed my life. His rookie year, I still have the autograph to this day. Met Ken Griffey Sr., as you saw in the photo on Instagram. Also, the dad was super nice. I got photos with both. Only an autograph from Junior, though, and I still have it. Right? Boom shakalaka. I got this card autographed because I wasn't rich enough to have the upper deck. that everyone had. It took me until my 20s to get that card. And then I bought it at a card shop. And then, I have the 89, 90 Upper Deck. But I had the Fleer and I had the Bowman and some of the others. But I just thought that he looked more like a pimp in this one. And I really like the Don Russ rated rookie, vibe. You have like the Griffey rookie, Randy Johnson rookie, Kurt Schilling rookie, all in this particular set. Not worth a lot. The standard card itself, only like $10 to $15, $10 to $20. If it's graded, then it goes up and is worth more. But for a rookie signature, Griffey took the time, at 19 when I'm 7 to spell his whole name. And I took a lot of pride in that because he not only didn't do steroids, right, but he actually took his time and signed his whole name. And he actually has one of the best autographs out of any baseball player ever. It's so consistent. He's not lazy. It's not like LeBron James, LJ23. Like Griffey didn't just do like JR, or K and a G, and then like that's it, or KGJ. Like this really meant everything to me, And then me and my dad, my dad's a Dodger fan since the 50s, and we met Koufax when I was 10. So this was me in 4th grade, and this was my dad's hero, and it's that's why I follow Dodger games for him, Mariner games for me. We end up going to games together, and I usually try to get a ball. Got a Kike Hernandez ball, former Dodger, Red Sox, Dodger again. But that was the first ball I got like a year or two before COVID. And I've been to, not many games, like 7 games, 8 games, and I already have 3 baseballs. Kike Hernandez with my dad, and then I ended up getting a Julio Rodriguez rookie foul ball when they played the Royals, so I could see Bobby Witt Jr. in his rookie season in the 9th inning. And then when Aaron Judge came to Seattle, when he had his 62 home run season, I ended up getting an Aaron Judge ball a few weeks later. Eerily enough, I actually predicted on the channel that I would be getting the baseballs, which is really insane because what are the chances of actually getting an Aaron Judge ball or Julio ball? Like 1 in 10 billion? And then actually not only to get one, the Julio, but to get the Aaron Judge. So I might be a time traveler, well, you guys can debate that or not, but Griffey, like I said, not a whole lot. Like I said, if you have this standard card, even the Upper Deck, the most coveted one, just by itself, $40 or $50 unless you get it graded. And then if you get a high grade, like a 10, then you can have a $50 card, might be worth $2,000. It all depends with the grade. If you end up getting a 9, maybe the card goes from $50 to $300 to $400, and then an 8 is about what the standard card is non-graded. So if an 8 is about $50, that's probably what the card is non-graded. So with this one, usually $10 to $20, $10 to $15 are what most Griffey rookies go for. But then if you get them graded, they go up. But even with the signature, like this would have a value because it's like not graded, but it's not very many Ken Griffey Jr. 1989 autographs exist. So if you're doing it based off the year that he signed, it gives it a little extra value. So for me, even with this card, it'd be worth probably about 100, 150, not really worth any more than that. But the nostalgia and the significance and his DNA, his thumbprint are on that card, where he put his thumb on the card. So obviously for me, I'm never going to sell this. And even if someone offered me like $500 for it, which would be probably 3 times what it's actually worth, just the fact that it's my memory, that I wouldn't even take $1,000, for it. Like this is something that I would want to be like buried with, or have a treasure hunt for someone to find, like I will be doing that with a lot of my collectibles. So that way people can travel across, wherever they need to go, and, they can find some of my gems and my treasures, Can't just have them just laying around. I want people to be able to get them. But meeting Griffey and meeting Koufax definitely changed my life. And, mental health is very important. Don't forget about that. And if I didn't, have these 2 things happen, maybe we don't have Northwest Sports Fanatics. Maybe I'm a gamer, and I'm Northwest, gamer fanatic or whatever, I do on Twitch or YouTube, or maybe I'm making beats with my boy Brooks, and, I'm doing that, or maybe, a psychologist, therapist, big brother, teacher like my dad, therapist, psychologist, big brother, just trying to, be able to help people and whatnot. So. Yeah, Dante Bichette, Bo Bichette. Yeah. I know. So Larry Walker, Andres Galarraga, Dante Bichette. I mean, for me, like, I have a brain like Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. Like, once it's in my brain, and if I remember, because like when I collected sports cards, I would put them in the sleeves and the binders. But as I looked at the front of the cards, right, I would like flip it to the back, and I was like an insane person. I would look, 6'2", 220. Oh, he went to Stanford. Oh, bat 290 his senior year, had 3 bombs. Like weird shit like that, and then I would remember that. So I'd be playing with like my Ninja Turtles and my Transformers and G.I. Joe and my wrestling figures and my Ghostbusters and my He-Man and my Skeletor, and I would have them in the wrestling ring or whatever. But then also I would be like remembering the stats, and I think that's why I'm so good at what I do. It's just the memory of the stuff. It's like I do read a lot, and I do listen a lot, and I do watch a lot of film, and I learn stuff from a lot of y'all also. But also get to have those memories as a kid and to be a hardcore collector and still remembering and retaining that information. Like, I feel I can name drop with a lot of my friends here in Oregon, wrestlers that were like jobbers or that were good in the 80s and 90s, or basketball, baseball, football, those obscure names. Like, I feel that, like, I could go a name, like Mookie Blaylock, and then they go Dale Ellis, and then Cedric Sabalos, and then, Danny Ainge, and then you go Eric Piakowski, Rony Cycli. Like, I can bounce around. Michael Adams, God Champ God, like, Tom Gugliotta. It won't end for me. Mark Eaton, Xavier McDaniel. Like, you could actually make a show out of this, because I feel like you can definitely tell certain people's knowledge in sports based on what they watched and what they remember. I mean, like I said, if we're on Jeopardy for sports, we are demolishing every other channel on YouTube. We already got some of the smartest people that watch sports, and I try to teach people not to be biased. I know it is hard sometimes, when you have favorite team, favorite players. But if you can appreciate greatness, then you go to another level. Yeah, but for me, like, I feel like my wheelhouse will be like 80s and 90s for sure, like the era that I grew up. And since my dad loved the 50s, I have a good appreciation for 50s, 60s, 70s, and then I, love 80s and 90s the best, right? Yeah, so if you ever want to win money, right? If you ever want to win some money, or if you want to get some information, you come here. That's why people come here for fantasy football and picks, because they know more than likely that I've done the research and I've done the reading, and I'm not going to be right all the time, for sure. No one is. But if I feel I can have ESP moments and I can be more right than everyone else, like, if I can have like 2 ESP moments a stream, if I can help people make money, if they're not sure. But a lot of times I have to look for patterns, and patterns repeat themselves, and you just have to be able to be aware. And if you're like a stat guy or an analytical guy like myself, I'm bringing out some of these Ellis Burks for you. I'm going to bring you back, dude. I'm going to show you stuff that even I haven't seen. We're still obviously at an intermission right now, but I just like being able to connect with people, and sometimes, just like the most random thing, like Ellis Burks. Like, unless you live out there in the Northeast, like no one knows who the fuck that is unless you're like collected cards, or you have a very good memory and whatnot. Sluggers, Fleer. I never owned this. This is 88. I was 6 years old here. And I'll show you my favorite one. Okay, you ready for this? Judah's like, dude, this is awesome. Like, fucking no one even talks about Ellis Burks, let alone bringing up cards. It's like Ellis Burks, if he was on the stream right now, he'd be smiling. He'd be like, damn, they're actually talking about me. He'll be like, yeah, we remember you. And your autograph. That's cool, huh? 87 tops with that wood grain. They do a lot of like repeat stuff with like Julio, like a reprint of a Julio rookie with this wood background. This wood background top is one of the best ever. It's so fucking clean. Logo in the corner, wood background. Everyone knows someone that had a wood fucking background something, for furniture, a car, like one of those Oldsmobiles that was like wood. It's like everyone has a memory of something of like, certain type of style in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Very clean. What company's logo is a swoosh? Reebok. Under Armour, Adidas, Avias. Yeah, you got to have a question better than that. And people are in the room are 5 years old, bro. You got to think half the people are under 40, and it probably starts around 18 to 20, and then you got them from 20 to 40 and 40 to 90. No dum-dums. I got to throw up a Mike Greenwell here real quick before we get back into it, too. We got a lot of memories for Mike Greenwell. All right, so you got the hold up. We got the Ellis Burks. And then sometimes it's just like the card itself. Like, this is my childhood. I'm 7 years old. I'm in first grade. Had the whole set. The Griffey Jr. rookie was in here. It's just a fucking clean looking card, and it definitely gives you vibes of that time period. Like, all the cards now are like holographic or got a jersey piece in them. Sometimes just the simplicity of a card that might be worth a quarter is worth a lot more, just your soul and who you were, especially if you were younger back then and that was a part of your routine. So, stud. That's how I'm able to vibe with like every type of person, any age, any race, any location. It's like sports and wrestling brings people together. And so I might not be a fan of that particular team, but that doesn't mean I don't know anything or don't have the memories. So, Dwight Evans. Now you said Dwight Evans. You really going? Nobody on planet Earth has brought up Dwight Evans' name in like a long time. This is like if we thought Mike Greenwell and Andres Galarraga and stuff, but I got you, dude. Got a special one here too. Look at this. See if it'll load. Oh, look at that. Every once in a while I'll dig deep and I can find some things, baby. Make that for all the teams. Fucking cool. It's like, I need a Mariner one like that when I do Mariner games. I was like, that's fucking sick. Oh. So now you got your staple and you got your Red Sox stuff. So anytime you hop in and we get bored or we're just waiting through like the intermission or halftime or whatever. Nice. That's cool. I like hearing stories and memories from other people, especially if they live there. I got plenty of, Griffey, Edgar Martinez, Randy Johnson. I got plenty of those kind of stories and stuff out this way. So, all right, 1-0 Colorado. Second period has started. We're busting out the old school. So crazy now with everything that's happened, Reflect. Now we have to worry about DeBoa, right? We have to worry about DeBoa and with Dan Lanning possibly leaving for Alabama. And that's not a good feeling. I hope things stay, but Alabama job opens up just like a Georgia, Michigan, or Ohio State. That's a big thing. Not every day a job like that opens up and a guy like Saban walks away. And then the Pete Carroll situation, still with the organization, but as an advisor, who's a new head coach? Could it be Jim Harbaugh? Wouldn't that be wild? And Michigan, does Harbaugh stay? Does he go? Saban retires. Pete Carroll gets let go, but still in the organization. Seahawks have an opening. Michigan might have an opening. Alabama has an opening. Are you going to steal our coaches? Washington and Oregon Ducks? Don't do that to us. I've already had to start over with Willie Taggart, Florida State, and with Mario Cristobal, who I actually kind of liked the most after Chip Kelly, and now he sucks. And hopefully Dan Lanning, thinks that, we're a top 5 program, which I think that we're pretty damn close if we're not. I think a top 10 if you want to be a hater. But I feel like we're on the cusp. We could win the Big Ten first year. And I feel that, depending on who's the coach and, the direction of the team, I do still think like, USC, if they can improve the defense, Oregon, Washington, it wouldn't shock me that if one of those 3 teams or multiple ended up winning a championship someday. I mean, at some point, if we're all in the Big fucking 10 with Michigan and Ohio State, it's not going to just be them by default every year, and if we can come out of the gates and win it as a Pac-12 school right away and set the tone, we'll see where it goes. But I am a little nervous because the thing is like if we were lower, yeah, Dan Lanning's probably gone. But since we are recruiting well, and we do have something cooking with, with Dante Moore and Dylan Gabriel, would you really want to leave all that just for some 6'8", 350 offensive linemen and defensive linemen and, having a chance? You're not going to be Saban, but if you get a Saban type of guy, you're not going to lose as many of the opt-outs and the recruits. Some people are going to want to come there because they think they can still make the NFL, but some are leaving because it's no guarantee you're making the NFL now because Saban's gone. So the vibe of Alabama, depending on who they hire, maybe goes down from being a top 4 school to maybe more top 10, top 12. And if they end up being a top 15 team instead of a top 5 team, then other teams are going to jump them. So we'll see. Alabama's resume and their kind of their magic maybe will be going away with Saban. So now other teams, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, Washington, and a few others are ready to pounce. Texas, and if we can take advantage and take a spot from a powerhouse, yes, please. But now we're worried that maybe our guys are gone. So Colorado 1, Vegas 0. We were bringing up Ellis Burks and Andre Scalaraga, Mike Greenwell, just going with some of the old school guys. Dante Bichette. I mean, I guess it depends on how old you are. I mean, if you're, 38 to 50 over, like 38 and up, if you're in that range, then you're going to have a lot of the same memories. But I feel that Saban retired because there's no more advantage for Alabama with the NIL deals and all the transferred quarterbacks every year. So instead of being the dominant team that has 50 NFL players and you play someone that's got 5, like a Michigan or Ohio State, you're just better. You got better players, and then you win, right? But then now it's like you might have an Alabama quarterback, but then boom, they go to Ohio State the next year. Now you can't really have loyalty. The players are going to get the NILs that are good, and they want to profit off of them. They want to be able to make money off their name and their likeness. And then there's no loyalty anymore that, Georgia and Bama are kings. Not anymore. Now it's like wherever they want to go, they can dictate like who the next powerhouse is, whether that is Alabama, Georgia still, or if some of those people leave and go to other schools, and then Michigan and Ohio State are the new kings, or maybe someone like a Washington and an Oregon or a Texas, like a sleeper. Like, things are changing really dramatically in the landscape of college football, and I don't like it as much. I feel that as Oregon fans, we should like it the most if we keep Dan Lanning, but if we don't, then it's like, God damn it, here we go again. And then what does that mean for Dylan Gabriel and Dante Moore? If Dan Lanning left, do you think they would stay at Oregon? Fuck no. Then we lose 2 quarterbacks. So we'll see how things go. Saban retired. And Carroll let go, but still with organization as advisor. Harbaugh, will he stay or go? NFL or Michigan? Belichick, will he stay or will he go? And then there's still so many other openings. So DeBoer going to Alabama? Like if they offered him the job? Is that what you're saying? But if you also look at Alabama and you look at the timing of him walking away, Alabama is no longer king. You know, their natties are about 3 years apart. And then if you're getting older, you're getting older. I mean, once you hit, 60, 70, if you're a coach, at some point, right, you're going to be like, I want to spend time with the wife or the grandkids, or I want to do something different. And what Saban will do is he'll stay, in the football scene. He'll just get hired by game day. And then he'll take like McAfee's spot or somebody, and then he'll still get paid like $10 million a year, and he doesn't have to do a whole lot. He'll travel, but he can just talk football, give his perspective. Here you go, $10 million a year, and all you're going to do is just be Nick Saban. Okay, who's not going to do that? So I would assume with my ESP, I mean, if he wants to do that, that job is there. Unless he doesn't want to make the money. But I mean, hell, if you just have to pay a little bit for flights, and then you talk a little bit, then you can go home to your family. And then maybe you have to go to some games or here or there, but you're able to like make a shitload of money still and take care of your family and beyond. And then you're just fucking talking about being who you are and your strategy and how you're pick your brain. I know if I was in his shoes, like, maybe take a little time off if you really want to, so you can step away from football altogether, mental health. But if it's a part of your DNA and who you are, some of these guys, it's just like who we are, right? Like I can't imagine like not ever watching college football or NFL ever again. They're like, well, you can watch everything else, but you can't watch that. Like, I don't know if I would agree to that deal. I would say probably no. I know what makes me happy, damn it. Reflect with a 3-er. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks. A little bit of Cactus Jack. Bang, bang. It's always good to be able to have, opinions and we can talk about things. Because I feel like on other channels, there's a lot of dumbasses that think they know sports, and it's not like we know everything, but I just feel like if you can see things from other people's shoes, have a little empathy and sympathy, and just envision yourself in the shoes of someone else or another situation, then you're going to be able to go through these scenarios and problem solve, and we can actually come down to like some educated answer. Colorado 1, Vegas 0. It's not going to be a Vegas 7, Colorado 0 like the first time they played. 13 shots on goal for each. 8 minutes gone in the second period, and they haven't beat the shit out of each other too much yet. But a lot of coaching moves. But again, like I said, with Oregon, it's like we always have a guy that gets a chance from his alma mater or some kind of history, and then we end up losing. Like, I don't give a shit about Taggart. Glad, get the fuck out of here. Crystal Ball, that one hurt. I'll be honest, because I liked him as like a lineman. I think that lineman as O lineman and D lineman or head coach guys, they're a little bit more honest and real and gritty. And it's like the Dan Campbells and the Mario Crystal Balls. Like, I feel like you have more of a connection because you feel they're being a little bit more from the heart and honest. And when you get guys that are going to do drills with the players, and like you all of a sudden, like the coach is yelling, and then all of a sudden he's doing like 10 fucking push-ups next to the D tackle. That's not normal. You do it for camaraderie, but like I'm one of the boys, but then it's like I do this because I want to do this and show like the camaraderie and the chemistry. Then you gain all the love and the faith from the whole team. It's game over. You show what you're able to do, sacrifice, and what you want to do for them. They will give you that in return. And certain coaches, they realize this, and others are too stupid to even realize that that would make a difference. So it's about understanding people and how to motivate and how to be honest and real. But when he went back to the U, I knew he would be a failure. It's like a stepping stone to go from Oregon to your alma mater, but you have to realize you're going to go to your alma mater. It's going to be cool at first, right? But if you don't have the same kind of players like you did in Oregon, What do you think is going to happen? You are going to get fired, and your dream job is going to be your dream nightmare. And that's what happened for Taggart. Bye. Oregon, Florida State, bye. Right? And then for Cristobal, he's about to get fired. It's like, who goes for it at the end of the game when you're ahead, and then you hand the ball off, the other team gets the fumble, they end up scoring a touchdown in the next play, and you lose. Like, you've done that multiple times. There's no coming back from that. You already are labeled like shit coach rest of your life based off those. So, and then Dan Lanning, going for it on 2-point conversions and making me question him as a coach and being a Chip Kelly 2.0, and then realizing our kicker sucks ass or is not as good as we hoped for. And then the aggressiveness started to make a little bit of sense, but we were still pissed at Lanning for not being more conservative. But if he's going to be that kind of coach, aggressive SEC mindset, then we have to get used to it. And it crushed us losing to Washington by 3 when we felt we could have won both of those. But the better team won. And, we just don't want to have to start over. No one likes starting over at fucking head coach. And especially if it's a team like us, like Oregon, that's my favorite team out of all the teams I root for. Ducks, Bucks, Blazers, Mariners, Kraken. Not in that specific order, but it's like I want to have some Mike Bellotti or some Rich Brooks. Give me some fucking consistency. Give me some Chip Kelly. So at least I know for 5 fucking years I don't got to worry that our dude is leaving, especially when you have someone special. So that's why the Bellotti love for me is cool, because he was kind of like dad, uncle, grandpa, vibe where you felt really good of him building the program. Kind of like a comparison for me with the Bucks would be, he was the Tony Dungy, right? The guy that built it. And then the guy that got us over the top was the Chip Kelly, John Gruden. The intellectual, bright, fucking insane mind. Oh, big save. And then the guy that had the team already built, but then was able to use their intelligence to get them over the top. And that's what both guys did. And we have mad love for Bellotti, and we have mad love for Tony Dungy. But again, once you get over the mountain and you climb the mountain, then the John Gruden, Chip Kelly, you're in a different category. So we should have won that goddamn natty in 2010 over Cam Newton. I don't give a shit what anyone says. The Mariota one, we didn't deserve that one. We were going to get our ass kicked on Ohio State. But the year that we had LaMichael and DeAnthony, that was ours. That was ours. Jeff Mayle, that was ours, man. Just rolling over on someone's back for a freak play and then them getting the field goal at the end was some shit. That's the only title that I feel that has ever been cheated from us here in the Pacific Northwest, that one. And then some people would say also the Seahawks Patriots Super Bowl. What if they would have handed it off to Marshawn? But what if Russ would have completed the pass and then they would oh my God, Pete Carroll's a hero. He's a genius. All of a sudden we got Marshawn Lynch, number 1 running back, but we're going to throw it and then win that way. And if he would have caught it and the Seahawks would have won and they would have won 2 Super Bowls, then the whole narrative on Pete is on a whole nother level. Instead of being amazing, 3 amazings above the amazing. You had the balls to not even go with Marshawn, and then you got the touchdown. He would be considered some fucking freak guru, Chip Kelly was the same level as Urban Meyer, as Steve Spurrier, Nick Saban. When Chip Kelly was at Oregon and he wore the visor, it was a vibe. You felt it as a fan, watching him. You were watching something really special blossom in front of your very eyes, that you knew that if you didn't win it all, that you were good enough to get there. And, it was special. You felt it. You felt it as a fan, as a hater. You felt it as a fan of Oregon. You felt it, from afar, and then being in person and seeing him and then, being there, front row, 5th row. It was nuts. Seeing LaMichael and DeAnthony, we would never have gotten players like that. Those players never come to Oregon. Those type of players go to USC, where DeAnthony was supposed to go, and then we flipped him last minute, right? With Snoop Dogg and all that in that league. And then obviously LaMichael's from Texas. He could have easily played for the Texas Longhorns or one of the Ohio States or Michigans. He could have did something like that, and then we got him. So Chip Kelly, LaMichael James, DeAnthony, those are my dogs. Bow wow. Hey, they might have not panned out in the NFL just like Joey Harrington, but those are the jerseys I like to rock. I still rock the Joey Harrington's, sewn duck jersey, the LaMichaels, the DeAnthonys. I wear that shit with pride, man. And then I gave my Mariota away to my friend Dave at the game. I thought that, you know what, it's his birthday. I got this vintage Mariota sewn jersey. It's worth about 150, but it's like, do I want to keep it? But it was like, what would be a cool present for, and it fits him. It's like really good friend of mine. We worked together in sales when I was like 17 to 20 at a Fortune 500 company. I've always been really, close to him as a friend, but we had like distance where, we went years where we didn't talk. Everyone's doing their own life and then kind of reconnected. But, you know, like the Mariotas, the Herberts, the LaMichaels, the D'Anthonys, the Joey Harringtons. That's what I rock. And then if I was going to rock another one, it would be like if I was going to get a jersey vintage, my number one choice would be like Haloti Nata. Like that would be the one. And I've looked at a few, but they're usually like 100 to 200 bucks. And if I'm going to get one, I want to get the sewn version. And then I'll take it to a seamstress and get the NGATA sewn on the top, 3-inch letters. It'll fit. It'll look badass. And I'll be like the only one in Oregon that has a Sonata with the name on the nameplate in the back, so it's good, bro. Shep in the building. Yeah. And remember, like I said, Barry Switzer, Jimmy Johnson, Pete Carroll, right? Barry Switzer, Oklahoma. Barry Switzer, Dallas Cowboys. Jimmy Johnson, the U. Michael Irvin, right? Dallas Cowboys. Pete Carroll, USC, Seattle Seahawks, right? Just the three. And then Harbaugh, Michigan. And if there's one guy that could join that group and be the four horsemen, it would be Jim Harbaugh, depending on where he would go. Smash that like button if you want to be smart. If you want to be stupid, you can go to another channel. They'll plant the seeds of a bunch of dumb shit. All right. If you want to learn something and have intelligence flowing through your brain, learn something. Talk to people that actually have brains, that actually watch sports and actually read and watch film and actually have smart and decent opinions, not a bunch of that bullshit. Coaching landscape is crazy. 80s, 90s for me is so special. 50s, 60s, and 70s is more special because of like my dad and like, him being a Dodger fan and whatnot. So Colorado 1, Vegas 0, 16 shots on goal from the Avs, Golden Knights, with 13, 8 minutes to go in the second period. Power play for Colorado with a minute 30. Bang! There's another one. 2-0 Avs. That Golden Knights bet, for our boy earlier, not looking too good. You're betting against you're betting against Colorado, right? And Colorado's at home. And I know Vegas beat them, right, 7-0 the first time around, but I mean, how often is that going to happen? If you got two of the top 8 teams playing each other, sometimes two of the top 3, right? Both were in second place into their divisions, I believe, last night when I last looked at the standings. Normally they're first in the division, but right now they're second. What a great rebound there from Colorado. And you might be able to, punk them once. But if you're, the Vegas Golden Knights, the Colorado Avalanche, the Dallas Stars, if you're some of those, Boston, New York, the Rangers, some games are going to be blowouts, but some are going to be a lot closer than people think. And then they will try to get payback. And it looks like Colorado is pacing 2-0 Avs. Yeah, this is my favorite matchup to watch. That's why I decided to do it as a Kraken fan, is to be able to watch my favorites, these two and the Stars. I would say those would be my first picks if I was doing a stream. All right, I look for those 3 teams first, and then if not them, then maybe Boston for Judah, maybe the Devils for Odin's son. I'll look there, and I don't mind, the Devils. I can do that. It just depends on, and then Connor Bedard. I can do Blackhawks. I can do Sidney Crosby for Pittsburgh. I can do Ovechkin for the Caps if needed. Like if I need extra motivation to watch a game, then I'm looking at, okay, who's playing, rookie or legend? What are the matchups, and what's going to be more exciting for me as a fan? This is like playoff game during the regular season. It just depends if you recognize it or not. Like you can end up seeing a Stanley Cup champion out of these two teams, either this year, next year, or the following year. Shepard is a goat. Sarah is a goat. All the goats in the building. Reflect is the goat. Lauren's helping out on the Twitter/X. Two zero Avs. I got to go get my drink. My drink! But I'll wait maybe till next penalty. So far, the electricity in the matchup has been there. Vegas ended up starting off a little slow, but just because you have home ice and you're an elite team doesn't guarantee that you're automatically going to win, especially when you're Vegas, Colorado, or Dallas. I feel that some of those teams are like just as good on the road, sometimes even better on the road. I don't know. Maybe just being laser focused and just realizing that everyone is against you and they already know you're one of the best in the world. You know, and everyone is trying to go at Vegas too after winning. So it's like, you're the champ. So you're going to get everyone's best effort. Just like, when the Warriors win with like Steph and Clay and Draymond and years past, like you already know that you're going to get everyone's A effort because you're the champ. We're trying to beat the shit out of you. And not only that, we're trying to beat the shit out of you and prove something, but also you're so good. Fuck, you might win it again. That's when you know you're going against a powerhouse when you look at the league where you're like, damn, this team won the championship, and you look at the roster and they like the contracts and like, oh, they might actually be good for the next 4 more years. Then like maybe there is another championship that could happen or another. So that's when you have to start breaking down rosters and looking at teams and contracts and how things are laid out. 2-0. Yeah. I don't know. Let me take a quick look. Yeah, we're no dummies here. I mean, the amount of reading and film that's done here is an insane amount. Especially if you're getting people on the big networks that come here and steal the material because they don't want to do the research or the film or the knowledge themselves. You're like, come on, man. Come on, Peter Schrager. Come on, EA Sports. Come on, big network. It doesn't take that much time to actually just do the job yourself. Keep your mental health up. You only got one. It's important. Remember that. Mental health, important. Whether you're an Avs fan, Vegas Golden Knights, or maybe even an awesome Red Sox fan like Judah. This is cool, man. Like, how come all the other ones don't have this? And then all of a sudden we look up one for Judah and it's got fucking guys swinging with the logo? I'm jealous, dude. Never seen that before. And all of a sudden, boom, Ellis Burks. I like it. Jack Eichel. Nathan McKinnon. Superstars. That's what it's about. All right, I'm going to go grab my drink here real quick. He's like, yeah. You're like, who is that? All right, baby, here we go. 2-0, Colorado, 5 minutes left in the second period. Yeah, I don't think we got anything on the other app, so hopefully we will before the stream ends. 5 minutes left in the second period. 19 shots on goal for the Avs, 15 for Vegas. Vegas kind of looking like in a fog, like they're playing obviously on the road, but the focus isn't normally there. Like the passes aren't as crisp. Kind of just like a couple steps behind, like jet lagged, kind of looking, And sometimes you're just playing a team that's just more hungry, more crisp, and you're just a elite team, but fucking they are too, and that's what you get in this matchup. Probably my favorite one. If I was gonna, if you mix Dallas in here, I'm not sure if I would like Dallas, Colorado more than this matchup. Maybe Dallas and Vegas on the same level. I don't know. Colorado and Dallas are pretty even for me, and then Vegas is always fun because they're so fucking good. I just like to be able to scout teams that I think that Seattle Kraken could turn into. So it's like, oh, we could maybe beat Colorado, but it's like if we were able to beat them, and then Dallas, we lost to them, but I feel like we can be on that level, but we're not on the Vegas level. So it's like I feel like the Vegas level is like the top level, and then you got teams like Colorado and Dallas that are like lurking, But I feel like with the Kraken when we're playing, they're not that far behind. Like we can match up really well, with these other teams. I feel like Vegas is a mismatch, but all the others like Dallas, I feel we can hang. Like I'm not scared. Colorado, shit, you're good, but when we're on, we can compete. We can beat you. But with Vegas, that's like the one where I feel no matter how good we play, they're really tough to beat. Um, so, but they are beatable, as we're watching right now. It's 2-0 Colorado. Hopefully, we'll see if they can hang on. But they played earlier in the year, and Vegas won, what, 7-0? Avs fan in Dallas. Oh, man, that's a sweet matchup. Because Colorado and Dallas are probably two of the most like similar. Vegas is at the top of the mountain. You got Dallas and you got Colorado. Like we're trying to be Stanley Cup champions. Like we're on the cusp. Like we know what we have to go through, and then Seattle's just kind of the kid on the block. It's like we have never even hit our potential just yet. We're just trying to be the baby Vegas Golden Knights and hopefully be a team that we can if we can mimic any team in the NHL, that's the one to mimic and to try to be the next version, the Seattle Kraken. But like if we can end up winning a cup or just being very dominant within the first 10 years of the organization's existence, set the tone early, not just like we're here. No, we're fucking good. Like we're trying to do big things. And it's cool to be able to see the hunger, and the Pacific Northwest is a great place to be able to have that. I mean, hell, I was hoping the A's would come to Oregon, but I knew they wouldn't. So, and Vegas would be better for them anyways. More money, more gambling, and all that. More space. We don't have the space for it. I mean, we do, but it would be in like an awkward location, like away from all the other places, like in a different city. Avs 2, Golden Knights 0. Less than 3 minutes to go in the second period. 21 shots on goal for Colorado, 16 for Vegas. Crisp, great, flow from Colorado, at home, playing like they should. And again, Vegas looking like they're kind of sleeping. All right, my guy. One of the hardest working people on planet Earth, Shepard Williams. 25. Let's get to a hundo. Let me know what photos that you want. So reflect. I know you've already thought about it because you're like me, and with your son and your family, and you're very in tune, with what's going on, in the sports world and past and present and everything. So for the Hawks, who's your like top three? Do you have anybody that you think that would be a good fit or that you would want? If you could have like your top three, who would you be your top three? Because they keep all saying like Dan Quinn, but he's a defensive coordinator, not a head coach. You know what I'm saying? He failed at Atlanta. He would do better than he did at Atlanta with Seattle, but I don't think that's going to be like, oh my God, we got Dan Quinn. Now we're winning a Super Bowl or getting to the playoffs. He doesn't move the needle. It's like, yes, it'll move the needle like for other teams, but I think for like this fan base to go from Pete Carroll to that, like anyone is going to be in a weird situation. But of course, he's got the swagger, and the farther the Cowboys go, the bigger his name will be. But if you're the Cowboys, you can't let that go, because if that's the piece that's going to get you to the Super Bowl or Super Bowl and win or NFC Championship game, you lose that, there goes their chances. Like you can get rid of McCarthy, but you got to keep Quinn for Micah and that defense. And you've already seen random guys like Diggs and others make names for themselves on getting the most interceptions, on the Dallas Cowboys, even though it can be hit or miss. But I don't like the Dan Quinn to Seattle. I think that he's a really, really good defensive coordinator, maybe even the best, number one, number two, number three. But as a head coach, I would rather have Harbaugh in Seattle rather than Quinn. I get it going back home where you coach. I get it. And I think you're a good defensive coordinator, but to be a defensive coordinator and a face of a franchise and a leader, sometimes it's too much pressure even for some. And some can handle it, and some are, some will be the head coach and that's it. Some will be the head coach in the OC. Some will be the head coach in the DC, right? It just depends on some are the head coach and the GM, like Billy B. It's like, are you still going to give up a responsibility? Are you going to handle the draft and you're going to be the head coach and you're going to be the defensive coordinator? Like, how many jobs do you want? Like, some guys can, handle many, many jobs, but I'm interested to see like what direction they go. Harbaugh stays or goes. It's a trickle down effect for Patriots, Billy B, the Chargers, the Seahawks, Alabama, Oregon, Washington, Michigan. Like all of our teams are like all connected now, like in one way or another. Like something is connecting us from this. It's like with all our favorite players, teams, or coaches. Like we're all affected one way or another based on when someone gets fired or gets a different job position or retires, or we end up losing a player or coach that was on our team and they go somewhere else. Less than a minute 30 to go, 2-0 Colorado. 22 shots on goal for the Avs, 17 for Vegas. And I would assume Vegas will turn it on in the third period, and I would assume that if I had to bet money on it, that they would score. But I'm not sure if they'll be able to score enough. Pretty flat out there. Yeah. Creative young head coach. Yeah, I would say like the brightest offensive coordinator or someone on the college level that's like, young, late 20s, early 30s, especially when you get a lot of these coaches that are 50, 60, 70 years old. You get someone that's like, in their 20s, late 20s, early 30s, even before 40. Like you can be a genius and be 20, 24, 28. I know it's like rare, but it's there, 30, 40, 38. Like you don't have to get a guy that's like, our grandpa or our uncle that we really love. And it's like that well-respected guy. And you have that old school vibe. You can be a fucking Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel, Sean McVay. You can be like a bright mind and young and like give it your own swagger and then, do it your way, and then eventually you'll grow to be that grandpa coach and you'll change your philosophy and whatnot. But I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I guess it would just depend on what was available and what you could get, Like Alabama hiring Sarkisian probably wouldn't be their number one choice. But if they knew for a fact that you could get Sarkisian and Arch Manning 100%, that would probably be the most valuable. Hey, let's grab this guy. Doesn't work out for a year or two. Fuck it. We can fire him, but we're going to get Arch Manning, just like Lincoln Riley and Caleb did when they left Oklahoma to USC. It'll improve the program based off, merch and ticket sales and vibe, and you're going from one powerhouse school to another, So I think Texas, they could survive with Quinn Ewers and other guys, and they can get somebody to replace Sarkisian. It's not going to hurt Texas, but if you can get that at Alabama, maybe isn't the number one guy, maybe it's a top 5 guy, but if you get Arch with it too, then it probably moves up to one of the top choices. Because Arch hasn't even been able to show how good he is yet with that Manning name, right? I mean, I would rather see Arch on Texas because I think Texas is cool. Like seeing like a relevant Texas team. They had like Cedric Benson, Ricky Williams. They've had guys like here and there, but nothing really too crazy, right? And then now it's like you got the Quinn Ewers vibe and you got the Arch Manning. So it's like Texas is cool again. And I like that to be able to see in sports when you're like good and then you go through a stage of suck and then you get like players or coaches and then you're good again. I like it. I like seeing people like recover and, not like suffer and like be able to, come back from adversity. We're humans, End of the second period, we can bounce back. We will. Because that's what we do. We watch sports, we talk wrestling, we talk about life and it's like a support group. 2-0 Colorado. Bang. Could be a blessing in disguise. And like I was mentioning before, I always research, like I said, I'm not going to, not everyone will agree with everything that I say or my like belief system or, how things are, but a lot of things are calculated. And, sometimes you can look at trends and you can look at, different information. And the bottom line is, the more that you read and the more that you watch film, the more educated that you're going to be, based off your hypothesis, your explanations, based off your predictions and whatnot, trends. You can pick up on certain things, but definitely age is a factor for some of these guys. Once you get above 70, how many organizations are really going to want to keep you there, even if they know you can do it until you're 80? Like sometimes, okay, you got a guy that's like 69, 70, 71, 72, 73. Yeah, like this guy's a GOAT and a legend. But then what if there's someone that's like 32 and it's like the next Kelly, the next big thing? Do you want to miss out on that? Or do you want to go through another year of just kind of going through the motions? So it sucks, when it happens. But, I mean, it can also be an exciting time depending on what direction they go. And they might not get the right coach, the next coach after Pete. You might have to go through 2 or 3 before you get the one that sticks, where it's like, this is the next Pete. And everyone agrees on it, So the next guy might not be that guy. Unless that guy is Jim Harbaugh, then I would say, yes, that's the guy. Because that's going to be the guy that'll get you back to Super Bowl contender relevance sooner than later. Think about all the coaches that are out there right now. If Seattle got Jim Harbaugh after winning the Natty, we could end up being the 4th guy, with Jimmy Johnson and Barry Switzer and Pete Carroll who went up both levels. You finally did it at Michigan. You lost to the Ravens when you were on the Niners with Kaepernick. You build something there. If like you have Harbaugh in Seattle for 5 years, you're pretty good chance in 5 years you'd probably get to at least one NFC championship game. And if you're really, really lucky with drafting and free agents, maybe 2. And if you go twice, you go to the Super Bowl once, and then hopefully you win, and then you have another few years that you could be good, depending on if you can afford some of the guys or replace But it could be like you could actually get a Super Bowl appearance or 2, I believe, with Harbaugh. The way that he is, his intelligence, his recruiting, and his style, it's going to be like kind of, my way or the highway. Like, this is the way that we do it, But if you do it and you listen and you trust me, I can bring you a championship. And I feel that if you were going to tell Seattle fans, like, who do you trust out of all these guys the most, even if they trust no one? Maybe him a little bit more, based on if you actually know his career, his relationship with his brother, the dad, the coaching in their blood, them, giving information back and forth, Like that family is, like if the Ravens win, Harbaugh, and it could, what happens if it's Harbaugh? Like bang, bang, bang. Yeah, it's your favorite thing. But at least on the bright side, if there's a one bright side, if there's, nothing's bright, but right, if there's one thing, at least it's not fired, get out and see you later, never have you back. Like, you're still going to be helping, like, get the head coach and with player scouting, drafting process. Pete, what do you think? Do you think this would be a good fit based on how you ran shit, for 14? Is this a Pete Carroll guy? And then they can decide, hey, we're going to listen to him, or we're just going to take his opinion. But of course, if you have a guy that's still there after you're letting him go, that means that you respect him more than anyone else would. This is the biggest compliment that you can give. Like, we still love you like so much that we want you to still be a part of the decision making. Maybe not 100% it's your decision anymore, but we still value you as a man and your opinion, right? So you have to look at it that way. Your legacy still lives on. Maybe not as head coach, but if he still is on the organization and they win a ring, when the next guy comes, that could be a special thing. And if, like, let's say you get Harbaugh, then you have Harbaugh and Carroll, like, on the same team, organization, trading information. Oh, sounds kind of good to me. We always got to look at the bright side of things. Okay, this shit thing happened, right? But what's the best thing that could happen after a shit thing? Doing everything in your power to get a guy like Harbaugh, because that guy is, just won a Natty, out to a Super Bowl, Harbaugh family, brother might win one on the Ravens, dad was a coach. Like, what's the guy that's they can say, oh, the number one guy is this guy or that guy. But I'll tell you that, if I was Michigan, that's who I would want back. If I was any team, New England or Seattle or the Chargers, who would be my number one choice? That guy. like by a landslide. If I didn't believe in him, I wouldn't be saying this. You know what I mean? Like if I didn't think that could be the guy that could give you the best chance to get to a championship game or the game and possibly even win it, then that's a big, big praise. And if I thought he was a dog shit coach or evaluator, or a motivator or, person, then I'd be like, yeah, I'm not about this guy. I'm not about this life. But he is uber talented. Hell, I mean, he made Michigan more relevant than Ohio State. Do you realize how hard that is? He got his ass kicked for fucking years. Was fucking stepchild, little brother. Finally, I got Aiden Hutchinson and said, screw you, here I am. And then finally capped it off with, look at me. Not only, did the SEC not win it, it wasn't Ohio State to win it first. It was me at Michigan. Reputation speaks for itself. I like him. And on the bright side too, imagine like if you lost Pete Carroll and Hack in the same day, right? So there always can be different days and different levels of bad. So losing one coach is one thing, but imagine what if we had to lose two? Two for you, only one for me. But yeah, I don't know that that's the thing. It isn't a natural fit. You're just going based off who he is. And I don't even think that, this is just me. I don't think he has interest in Seattle. So, no, I'm not going to put it in the universe. We got hack attack. He'll always be there. So Harbaugh isn't the type of scheme that Seattle runs. It would be like changing Seattle into the 49ers. That's what he would do. O-line, D-line. He would try to build another 49ers to go against the 49ers. So that way that he could try to get a championship before Kyle. You know what I mean? So he would totally change the vibe of the team. You'd be more run first, O-line, D-line, defense is more important. It would be a different type of responsibility, and different scheme. Maybe defense will flip, maybe 4-3, 3-4, depending on what the personnel, and what you're looking at. So it would be a complete revamp, and it's not a natural fit. But I'm just saying, based off talent alone, who's the guy that would be able to turn it around the quickest and may even get you a championship? Him. I think that's pretty. I don't think there's anyone else that you could say right offhand that you would feel, all right, this is maybe not my number one choice, but if it were to happen, I think there would be more positive than negative out of him. He would be a guy that most people would believe, okay, these are the 10 options. Who's the one the least likely to make it? And who's the one that would maybe have the best shot to maybe make it? Maybe make it, maybe not, but maybe make it a little bit more than these other guys. And he's at the top of the list. But I don't think he wants to be in Seattle. So I think that him already being on the Niners, not for him. So and I think that he would want to be able to have full control, and I don't think Seattle would give it to him. So that doesn't necessarily mean be like Billy B and GM and head coach, and I'm making all the draft moves. No one can veto my shit. I make moves. The owner is the owner, but I'm the guy. And then I got my associates underneath, and we're all talking and we're conspiring together. Ultimately, I'll be the one that makes the last say, but you'll take the input and whatnot. So, but yeah, I maybe going for a younger type of guy, but again, it all depends on results. And like I said, it may take one or two coaches before you get your good one. It may be the one right away, but it all depends on who it is and who's got interest. So. Yeah, and that's why I think it worked more on the college side. When you work a certain way, if you're a little bit more military guy, Urban Meyer, or you're you're more talking down to the player, and it's you're disciplined and you're really hard on the player, like a drill sergeant. Some guys are going to be more friend vibe and more player friendly. But sometimes to be able to get the most out of guys when they're young, you got to get them in that discipline to get the most out of them. Just like in Swamp Kings and Urban Meyer and Tebow and Brandon Spikes. But, sometimes you just have to feel the vibe of the city. And then the city will be able to, feel if the vibe is genuine or not.
and if it's going to work out. So it's like sometimes it's more than just your record. It's about who you are and your like the vibe and like what are we looking at? Like a whole rebuild, like what kind of control are we giving up? And obviously I would assume with that particular organization, if they're willing to move on, they're still going to have their hands on a lot of things. So not necessarily going to be like, oh, we're going to hand over everything to this next person. So yeah, Johnson's going to get a lot of looks, because but think about this. Johnson is doing good. But think about this. How hard would it to be to do Johnson's job? I think like a lot of people could do it. You got Goff. Offensive line's got 2 guys, Ragnow, Sewell, pretty good. 3 guys that could be improved, right? You got top 5 receiver, top 5 tight end, should be rookie of the year. CJ Stroud is good, but Laporta has been, you could say that's rookie of the year. Good, right? You got Montgomery and Gibbs. I mean, okay, hand the ball off. To which one? It doesn't matter. You want the guy that's fast? Boom. Jameer. You want the ground and pound guy? Boom. Montgomery. Goal line? You can go with either one. Montgomery for like the fullback stuff. You want to go with Gibbs? Like, I run to the sideline. It's like, and then you got all these obscure guys like Donovan Peoples-Jones and Khalif Raymond, who actually aren't like the biggest names, but if you have to give them the ball, they might be able to do something. Damo deep. Like, I think you could be almost an idiot and call plays for the Lions and be good. Like, how do you fuck it up? Like, literally any play you call, they're probably going to execute it because they're good. It's like you got good players everywhere. The only thing that fucks them up is the O-line. The O-line sometimes sucks ass, and then, you're not getting the run plays or you're not getting the protection or Goff to make the plays to the receiver or the tight end. So Johnson, like, okay, you're getting some looks, but, like, I need to be able to see you. I don't know. I don't think you have to be that big of a genius to be able to have great plays with the Lions. Like, I mean, the players kind of speak for themselves. If you're, like, a terrible play caller, then you're only getting, like, what, 120 points out of those guys? But if you're getting, in certain games, 30, 40, or maybe even crack 50, you're doing your job because you got amazing pieces. You should be able to take advantage with the offense, against a shit team. Yeah. Sports is already crazy. We're only fucking 10 days in. Crazy. Who won the Hart Trophy? Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, Kucherov. That sucks. The game that we did for Connor Bedard with the broken jaw, and now he's going to be gone for months and months. Go figure. Finally, I'm like, yeah, so I get to watch him play, and then boom. And then I get the game where they just beat the shit out of each other. Zero abs. Throw up a Nick Saban. Nick Saban, the GOAT. Change the culture. I'm Nick Saban. I'm good. Oh, shit. Your boy is good. Alabama football before Nick Saban, and they had some moments. They had a big separation. Like when the Seahawks and Sean Alexander went to Alabama, Alabama wasn't Nick Saban Alabama. That was like before then. And then you're like, oh, totally forgot. Like some Seahawks fans, like probably even forgot. Like, oh, damn, he was on Alabama. But that was before like Bama was a powerhouse, like Saban, which, you know, anytime you get Saban, or you get Belichick, it got old. Like that shit got hella old for all the other teams. I mean, I imagine out there for Judah, I mean, he was living his best life, everything. I mean, you go Celtics winning with Bird and, you know, Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish, and then you get the Tom Brady era. You know, everyone's going to have their own little era of greatness. And you're just shaking up college football, man. I don't know what to think about it. What if you taken my head coach Dan Lanning? I don't know if I like this. But he's like, if I can't dominate and have 50 NFL players and everyone else has like 5 or less, I'm not doing it anymore. Georgia's already on the up and up. Michigan, Ohio State already better than us. Texas, here we come. Oregon, I'll see you. Washington, DeBoa, uh-oh, I better leave. But, I mean, we don't really know about any cheating, you know, like with the Belichick thing. And if you look at his record, you're not going to see anything like this. This was, you know, Belichick and him. That's been very, very rare air. I like this little Alabama jump off. Dope. Like this one, too. You're just like, oh, Red Sox. And then how come the Mariners doesn't have one like this? I want to do this when I see like Julio up to bat. And I can have my own like Julio, like perfect. I like, you know, it's like transparency, and then you get like ones that spin in the 360. And now they got the animation. Man, I mean, that was cool. Just like the puck. It's like very relaxing for me. It's like very zen. Like I feel that I like looking at the photos of like the older players and like imagining what it'd be like to be them. You know, when I do the basketball, baseball, football, and then you look at the cards and the comb overs and the look. You know, it's a vibe. It's a vibe experience. Let's get the third period going, huh? You know who the best fans are? You guys. Oh, dude, Jim Schwartz, fucking amazing, dude. You know, they're already talking about, you know, Cleveland Browns, right? And we talk about the defense and like what we think about them. And obviously Stefanski's getting all the love at the head coach, but they wouldn't be shit if Jim Schwartz wasn't doing a good job for me. Like, you want to give it to the one guy? No, you should be giving it to the guy on the defense, because if you can get that defense going, no Nick Chubb, no Deshaun Watson, you have fucking Joe Flacco in there, and you still look like a Super Bowl contender. That's not because of the offense and your play calling, Stefanski, okay? That's not you, even though I love what Njoku's been doing lately. He's beast mode. He plays like a top 5 tight end now. Njoku is dangerous, okay? But if you look on the defensive side, you're like, ooh. You know, like the Browns defense, if you had them in fantasy or you follow them or watch their games, like they put up 10 points or more, you know, almost every week. So you already know that they're getting sacks, they're getting picks. You know, it's more than just Myles Garrett. That's when you know, like, you know, the only team that might be able to beat the Ravens, the Cleveland Browns. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I also you have to look at the intangibles too, you know, like recruiting, communication. Are they a player's coach? Are they disciplined? Are they more like, you know, a player's coach and more chill? You know, are they intelligent, or do they have people doing plays for them? Like, you know, like there's a lot of, you know, different things that you can kind of get a vibe. And sometimes you're just going to, you know, they'll take a chance and they'll be like, this inexperienced guy. Let's see if we can make a name off of him, you know, and he can turn into something, or someone that has only a little bit. And they go that route, or someone that is well known. But sometimes if you're well known, doesn't mean you're going to work out. Yeah, 2-0 Colorado. Less than 18 minutes to go. 25 shots on goal for the Avs, 16 for the Golden Knights. Vegas Golden Knights won 7-0 the first matchup against Colorado. Colorado trying to get the payback. Like, especially lately when you watch Njoku play, he looks like Travis Kelce or Gronk when they were, like, in their prime. Like, you see him catch the ball. He stiff arms. He's tough. He, like, rumbles and bumbles. Like, when he should be getting, like, 5 yards, he ends up stumbling forward for 12. That's when you know you got a guy that could be a difference maker, where if they go to Njoku heavy in the playoffs and they get touchdowns to him, that could be the difference between them losing right away or getting all the way to the AFC Championship game, in my opinion. So, defense wins games and championships, but Njoku could be like a game changer, especially with Flacco. Because that's how I would do it. If I try to pretend if I'm the play caller, where do I go? Because no one can guard him. I mean, have you seen anyone been able to really guard him? Like within the last couple months, like almost everything is like unguardable for him. Like you give him the ball, just like the elites, like Andrews or Kittle or Kelsey. You give him the ball, Laporta, right? You give them the ball, boom, shakalaka. They do something cool with it, right? Normally positive. Doesn't fuck up that much. Less fuck ups, better player. Sam Laporta, rookie of the year, even though it'd be CJ Stroud. Like I kept telling y'all, Antoine Winfield Jr. is the best safety in the league, period. Look at the stats. The guy punches out footballs before people score touchdowns more than any player I've ever seen in my life. Like the guy keeps playing like this, he will be a Hall of Famer. Like he'll be in that Rondé, John Lynch. He'll be like right there, maybe even higher than them. The guy is doing crazy stuff. It's one thing to punch it out like Peanut Tillman, but when you're punching it out on the half-yard line in the one and you're preventing 6, I've never seen that shit before. I mean, the guy is incredible. If I was going to get a jersey, that's the one I'm getting. I wait for moments like that to happen, and then I'm like, okay, and then, you either buy in and you like what you see, and sometimes you have to have plays like that to have you stand out, and no one is better at punching out the football and preventing touchdowns than him. And if he can do this, like on a regular year in, year out thing and prevent like 2 to 5 touchdowns every season, I mean, there should be more like defensive player of the year talk, because who else is doing that? I'm not seeing any other corner or safety or linebacker. Micah Parsons isn't punching out the football at the one, preventing touchdowns. And I get sacks are important, but I don't know. That stat is pretty cool too. It's cool that it ends up being a Buccaneer player, but if it was a Seahawk player, I'd be like, oh my God, I love that. It just, regardless of team, I've never seen shit like that before. Deion never did it. I've never seen anybody do it. It's like an alien. Power play for Vegas. 1:10 to go. And you guys probably haven't seen it because you guys don't watch Bucs games, but if you see it live or you've seen the highlight, it's ridiculous. And almost every time he does it, the Bucs recover. And big save. It's like, they're about to score a touchdown. Nope. And we get the ball. Yes. Like the best outcome. Like Hall of Fame behavior at a young age. He will be better than his dad. He already is. And he is a, all-pro, first team, Pro Bowl, like superstar, not just star, superstar at safety. Like that's how good he is. And like better than Devin White. And he has got a potential to be better than Levante David. He could be like him and Tristan Wirfs could be like the next Hall of Fame pairing that, they talk about. Like, oh my God, you guys had Wirfs and Antoine Winfield Jr. You had a fucking offensive lineman and a safety, like rare, and then that'll go down in the history books, Hall of Fame. Boom shakalaka. You see that? How I'm talking that into existence. Tristan Wirfs, Hall of Fame. Antoine Winfield Jr., Hall of Fame. Boom shakalaka. They'd be like, those guys in the same draft? No wonder you guys won a Super Bowl. Yep. Just like Ray Lewis and Jonathan Ogden, Derek Brooks and Warren Sapp. Like, how do you let that happen if you're the other teams? You're like, we pick Warren Sapp, and then all of a sudden you trade up. We pick Derek Brooks, and then they end up being 2 of the best that I ever played. The Ogden Ray Lewis one is amazing. And that makes you understand why they were so goddamn good. Like Ogden was just fucking insane. Like when he was in his prime, like you weren't doing anything. Like nice try. You want to get by him, you're not. And And then, well, we already know Ray Lewis, his pregame speeches, postgame speeches. I miss him in the breeze. I say, Byron Maxwell. When the players are doing them, right, most of the guys that punch it out, if you notice, they're from the 20 to the 20 or like around the 40 or 50-yard line. I don't know what it is for your mentality to be like, I'm mad, they're at the 50, I'm punching it out. And sometimes it just depends on where they're on the field. But next time you watch a football game, look to see where a punch out is coming from. A lot of times it's from the 20 to the 20. But if you get it when they're about to score, like I said, and then to be able to get the turnover that way too, prevent 6, and you get the ball. And realistically, if you get it at the 20 or 25 or you recover at the 1, you're probably punting on a 3 and out because of the energy, and you're just like excited, but they probably load the box and you just run, and then you punt. It's like a chess game, a field position game, but still the prevent a touchdown feels cool. So I don't know, man. I've been watching games for a long, long time, and I've never seen a player punch out the ball at the 1 and have another team, you get the recovery and you prevent the points. And he's doing it like often. Like he's already had like 4 or 5 times that he's done it this season. It's like to say that he did it once, you're like, okay, cool. But I've seen other things that's cool, pick sixes, almost for touchdowns. But when you start talking about 3, 4, 5, and then if he ends up doing it like, I don't know how many times he can do it throughout a season. I mean, imagine if he started doing it like once every other game. So if he ended up doing it like 8 or 9 times a season, that he'd be preventing touchdowns. I mean, how do you not give that guy more love, right? But again, safety, Buccaneers, stupid, shitty team, O-Dogs team. They suck, right? Not popular. Brady's gone, right? We can still be a small market, shit team that sucks and is the worst one in the playoffs, but we can still have elite players. We can still have Hall of Famers. We're not good anymore. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The Cam Chancellor. I have an old friend from work that I worked at a call center, and she actually named her cat Bam Bam Cam. Big Seahawk fan. Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. Oh, for you? Oh, you got to put in your dues, bro. Yeah, so you're not a head coach. You're not even an OC or a DC. You got to be a position coach, wide receiver or tight end room. And you got to be able to prove yourself there. And then you go from tight end to wide receiver, and then maybe OC. And then you got to go from that level and then see if you're available for the head coach. You just can't just go to head coach. You got to put in the dues, put in the work. Like me, bro. I've been doing this for 12 years. 8 years on YouTube, 12 years on, other platforms. That's a long time. A lot of people, they don't, the commitment level, the grind. You guys. Wow, that's awesome. Now I'm going to have to look it up. If you find the highlight package that has that, you should send it to me in a text message or like a message. I would love to be able to see a little. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily think that maybe that would be out there, but anytime it ends up being something kind of cool, there's always going to be some diehard, Seahawk fan or a fan of him that will, or it gets requested, from a fan base that does stuff like that, and then you might be able to find some like edited breakdown of the cool plays. But, like I said, for me to have like Sapp and, Derek Brooks and John Lynch and Rondé Barber, Simeon Rice, and then even have other guys that were influential at that time. But then to see a guy like this Antoine Winfield Jr., it's like he is on the same level as those other guys. And he has like a chance to be higher than some of the others. That's saying a lot because Lynch was fucking good and Rondé Barber was amazing. Like Rondé might be the most underrated corner of all time. I mean, 30 sacks, 30 picks. No one else has done it. Like, there's a reason why, that scheme and for him being athletic. So even though we suck, it's kind of cool to have like an offensive lineman and like a safety, which is like probably my second favorite position behind linebacker. Like, be good. That's a cool moment for me because I got the Derek Brooks thing. Sap, already experienced what it's like to have a cool D tackle, cool times. Linebacker, cool. Then Levante and Devin White, but that's not fucking Derek Brooks. And then to be able to get the offensive lineman that I always hoped to have, and then getting another corner or safety that I felt that was on the Rondé level. I was like, okay, it might take us 20 years, but eventually we'll get one. 2-0. Avalanche. Matt Payton needs to put in his dues. So tomorrow we are doing the Kraken, and we are doing Kraken and the Caps at 4. Go Kraken. Fucking defend the deep, release the Kraken. We're the fucking hottest team in the NHL. Boom shakalaka. One of the hottest. And then on Friday, maybe the Predators versus the Stars. That's at 5. So I can watch the Stars. And then we have playoff games, obviously, on the NFL. And then we're either going to do 1 or 2, depending on, the time I have with Paisley and what I feel that, Browns Texans on Saturday at 1:30, I'm going to watch with Paisley. And a piece of me is rooting for CJ Stroud. A piece of me is rooting for the Browns. So that way that we can see what they can do further in the playoffs. I think both scenarios would be cool. But then the Dolphins, Chiefs in the snow or cold weather, we're going to do that one. That's on Peacock at 5. And then Sunday, Steelers, Bills at 10. I'll just watch that with Paisley. Packers, Cowboys, I would consider doing a stream for that. And then Rams, Lions, we're definitely doing for sure. So Packers, Cowboys is, probably going to skip that one and just watch it with Paisley. But that one is kind of intriguing. Packers have a shot. They have won like almost every time in Dallas. I believe they're undefeated. They've won literally every time it's been a normal matchup or like a playoff. The Packers have won. So we'll see if that Packer, lore, and that history of the Packers winning gives them a mental edge over Dallas. And it's like the time that Dallas chokes. Like they play good all regular season, but they just play like shit or Jordan Love just goes off, right? He's got like 18 touchdowns and 1 pick in the last like so-and-so games. Kind of good right now. So, and then Rams, Lions are definitely doing that so Sunday night, Rams, Lions, Saturday night, Dolphins, Chiefs. Boom, there's another goal, 3-0 Avs. God, they're done. And then we got Eagles, Bucks on Monday night. And I don't even know how to feel about that. Because like with the Buccaneers, we suck. Maybe us and the Steelers are the worst, right? And I would rather not have made the playoffs last year or this year, but I guess someone had to be the team that's made the playoffs the last 4 years in a row, just the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 2 of them were good, but then the last 2, we're not even like good. We suck. Like, come on, Saints. We're just trying to give it to you, right? Browns Texans would be worth enough for me to stream that one. Even if the donos were a little bit lower on that one. Like I don't know. Joe Flacco is intriguing, and CJ Stroud is like must see TV. I don't know. Browns Texans would probably be funner than Packers Cowboys, but Packers Cowboys has some good fans, some annoying fans, and the banter and the bullshit and whatever. But some of them I'm just going to end up watching. But we'll just probably do 1 game a day so I can spend time with Paisley. 3-0 Colorado, and then we'll go that route. So Dolphins, Chiefs. We would assume Chiefs will win, even if they don't play the greatest because they're at home and they'll adjust to that cold weather. Right, then we got Lions, Rams. You tell me, because that's the one that could be an upset. I think the Lions are definitely the better team, but the Rams are the hot team. And if McVay has something cooking in the kitchen, don't be surprised if the Rams win that. The Lions should win it 95% of the time, but the Rams can win 5%. So if they play each other 10 times, maybe the Rams will win 2. Will they win this weekend? Maybe. I wouldn't be shocked. Lions should win, but the Rams could. And same thing with the Browns and the Texans. Either team can win that. It's very even. Browns, you would think the Browns are going to have the edge with the defense, but CJ Stroud goes crazy. Who knows? Maybe he makes a legacy, right out of the gates. I'm CJ Stroud. You thought I was top 10. No, I am a top 5 quarterback in the NFL as a rookie. And if he wins a playoff game, it's just one thing to get there, let alone win. That's saying something. So obviously coaching has a part of that too, and the team that he has. And Nico Collins has played fucking great, as well as the other receivers. 3-0 Colorado. But and then we got Tampa and Eagles, and the Eagles have looked like dog shit. Tampa Bay is just injured. So I don't know if even, what you're going to get out of Baker. He can't even bake. I mean, we look like shit against the Saints and the Panthers. Can't even get a fucking touchdown. So, it is what it is. But as like shitty as the Eagles have been playing, they should be able to beat the Bucs. But I don't know if I would really. I don't know. I guess like we're both terribly shitty. So I guess it's one shitty team or another. I guess the Eagles need it more because you were 10-1, and if you lose to the Bucs, like it looks really, really bad. Like if we win or lose, it doesn't fucking matter. We're a small market team. No one gives a shit. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I give a shit. No one else does. It's like, so I'll be rooting for us to win, but it would be more detrimental to Philly losing. Like if the Bucs lose, they're like, yeah, they suck. They were supposed to. But if we win, it's like, oh, Baker baked enough, past this Jalen team that obviously is missing their coordinators and they don't look good. But even if the Eagles don't look good, they can beat the Buccaneers. That's how shitty we are. Like if Baker was healthy and Evans and Godwin were looking badass and the defense is like on point every game, I wouldn't say that. I would be like, yeah, maybe we can, go to the NFC Championship game. But I'm not a dummy. Like this team isn't good. Like there is no, advancing. Like and even if we play the best game, like we might not be able to beat the Eagles even at their worst. So I mean, think about it. The Panthers are the worst team in the league. We couldn't even get a touchdown. 9-0. So if Baker is still hurt, the Eagles can play like shit and still win like 16-10. Where it's like not pretty, but it's like good enough to beat my bullshit team. So. Lions, Rams. Oh, the storyline alone, that's number one. Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay, Jared Goff, that trifecta. And what happens? Does big brother turn into little brother? Does little brother turn into big brother? Who gets revenge? Who gets payback? Who gets the last laugh? And obviously, it would be more detrimental to the Lions losing based off their success, just like Dallas and San Fran. If the Rams win, they're playing sleeper, and they're playing as like trying to, be spoiler. So you always got to watch out for those teams: the Bills, the Browns, and the Rams. Those are the 3 deadliest teams right now that's in the tourney. 3-0 Colorado. They're kind of good. Before resumes get read, first, job. Second, internet upgrade. Third, computer. Fourth, microphone. Fifth, practice. And then 6, I do Oregon Duck games, and then boom shakalaka, there you are. Yeah, Laporta out. That's a huge, huge downgrade. That means that they can go more deep shots with JMO, but McVay will be ready for that. And they probably will get an interception off like a JMO deep run, something like that. So, and how much I drafted the Lions players. A lot of my shit was Bucks and Lions. And normally I don't do my own team, right? But there's always going to be in fantasy like a team that I believe in. A lot of research is done, and I feel that they're going to have the breakout year. And I draft accordingly based off that idea that these guys are going to have a breakout year. Maybe they didn't have it last year, or maybe this is the first year of a new thing. And I definitely think that the Rams could win that matchup. I agree. And I've been more Lions than you. You have not been on the Lions bandwagon. You've been more boo Lions for Seahawk reasons, which I get. I've been more pro Lions, rooted for them when I was younger, but can see the development. And I like Dan Campbell. I don't like the trick play stuff, but the defense stinks. So for me to be like, I'm all bought in, you got to have a D. Your D stinks. So like no one thinks you can actually even beat probably the Cowboys because you can't fucking defend. So it's like, yeah, you're good. So if I already feel that way about you and I love you, but I'm honest about it, right? Then yeah, the Rams can win because if you got Kyron and they can dictate the tempo with Puka, get lucky on a couple of defensive stops, all of a sudden you're up by 10 and then you don't look back. And then McVay grinds you out and you can't stop Kyron and then you're fucked and then you lose. So regardless of who's home or on the road, if you got McVay or Shanahan, like I've been saying, they are geniuses. And they'll, and this is really crazy for McVay because he considered retirement and thinking, oh, Aaron Donald's leaving. We might not be that good anymore. But he shows you with a bunch of rookies and a young staff, it don't matter. He can have young guys or Aaron Donald, and he can do it with anybody. That deserves like kudos. Where it's like if you could get a guy like that on your if some weird thing where McVay was Tampa's coach, like I would lose my mind. I'd be like, oh, we're going to be good. Like I can't wait to see what kind of play calling we're going to cook up. Like what no-name player is going to turn into the next Puka. So you look at things like that, and it's going to be very interesting to see where it goes. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. And I would definitely say with Laporta out, I would 100% agree with that statement that there's going to be more focus on Montgomery and Gibbs. They slowed that down a little, forcing it to Amon-Ra, maybe a tipped interception. And then do you feel comfortable with anyone besides those three, Amon-Ra, Montgomery, Gibbs? And if not, maybe that's another interception. You get some sack lunches, and then all of a sudden you're playing a young team and you're losing by 10 and you can't come back. Because every time you score, they score in the second half, and you're trading points, and you're fucked. And that could happen. So, I just like it when we can talk about something, and like I can like foreshadow and see the future before everyone else. Time travel, ESP, and then something significant happens, and you're like, oh, wow, like not realizing like, okay, this is like the rival coach, reflect. It's like I'm a Seahawks fan. I don't give a shit about him. You know what I mean? But then if you like just dig deeper and take the fandom aside and just look at McVay as like the coach and the man and schemes and how intelligent he is and how he calls plays like 10 to 12 words like Shanahan. Like these guys are next level. Like if you're an idiot, you're not playing quarterback for them. Like there's no way. If you're a dum-dum, like you got no brain, you're only an athlete, oh, you're not playing quarterback for this guy's team. You're going to fail. He's going to give you the fucking audible and you're going to just like, okay, I quit. So. But I guarantee you, out of like the matchups, we're going to get 3 games that look like they could be upsets, but realistically, we're only going to get 1 or 2. If we're lucky, we're going to get 2. Like in the 50-50 games like Cleveland and the Texans. Some people are going to go Houston because it's a good feel-good story because it's C.J. Stroud, the next phenom quarterback, and they want to be a part of that hype train. C.J. Stroud, I want to win some money, right? But then if you look at the team, the Browns are the better team. Flacco's played just as good as C.J. They can put anybody at running back. Offensive line has played good. Defense has played elite, right? It feels like a different energy. So, you're going to get fans and people that are going to bet based off if they like C.J. Stroud or if they recognize defense wins games at championships. And if Cleveland's D and O-line, outplay the line of scrimmage of Houston, it's over. Cleveland's going to win because they can punch back every time you punch. C.J. Stroud goes 50 yards and Nico Collins for a touchdown. Flacco can just hand it off 4 times. Boom, throw it to a receiver, Amari or fucking Njoku, touchdown. What? Like right there. So. Yeah. No, I know you can make comparisons. You're like one of the only ones that can, though. Like some people can't. They just can't do it. Seahawks and Detroit couldn't give. Oh yeah, you look at the Ravens and you look at San Fran. Like those are the 2 best, and then like you got hot teams, like Cleveland and Buffalo and the Rams that could do some damage because they're going to be hot at the right time. But like even with the Cowboys, like I feel like if you're looking at all the other teams and not being a hater, for someone to say the Dallas Cowboys are the 3rd best team, some people would be like, no, because they're haters. Dak has played well. If you think about it, if you're talking about MVP for quarterback, if you're going to choose a guy, it's not a popular pick, but Dak is probably the most deserving. But since it's not Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow or Josh Allen doing a great season of 5,000 yards and 45 tutties, it's like they don't want to give the award to that guy. Like, oh, Dallas Cowboys, Dak, he's hated. This organization is always shit on, you know. And then they're just like, oh, we'll give it to McCaffrey. But, maybe this is the year for Dallas. This is like the best chance they've had in a long time. You're literally, arguably, the second best team in the NFC, third, maybe overall, maybe fourth. But can you actually do something in the postseason? Are you going to play like the Avs tonight? Or are you going to play like the Vegas Golden Knights? Which one are you going to play? And then I think it would be kind of cool to see them do well. Like, I'm not a big hater. Like, if you're Micah Parsons, what am I supposed to hate about that? You're good? Like, I get it. The Dallas Cowboy fans, just like other fan bases sometimes, annoying or extra. But hell, if, you haven't won anything since 1995, I mean, eventually that misery's got to stop, That's what it's about. Going like 3-1 or 4-0 in December, right? And then all of a sudden everything is clicking. And that's why you have to look out for teams that have really good defenses, or if they're clicking. It's like clicking teams is like Buffalo with the James Cook and then the Dorsey bye-bye, right? Brady, hello. Right? Rams, McVay calling plays to Kyron and Puka. Hello. Defense, though, with Buffalo and Rams, sometimes good, but sometimes, golly, you're terrible, right? But Cleveland, it's more like defense. Like Stefanski this, Stefanski that. No. Defensive coordinator. Schwartz, dude. Like Schwartz's impact on Cleveland deserves coach of the year consideration from a D coordinator over a head coach. That's how good he's been this season. But again, unless you watch football and pay attention to fantasy, watch games, a lot of that shit slips through the cracks, And then you get people like, Peter Schrager, Good Morning Football, watch the channel for a little bit, steal the information for the, topics on the show for the next day. Like, why do I got to come up with it? I can just fucking watch this motherfucker. I'll steal his shit. Less than 3 minutes left in the third period. Colorado 3, Vegas 0. But I would like to see Dallas compete. Like, it'd be cool to see Cowboys-Niners NFC Championship game. I wouldn't mind it. And they already have that, vibe with Aikman and, Michael Irvin and Emmett and Steve Young and Jerry Rice and Joe Montana. So, bringing that 80s, 90s vibe to that, even though the Niners would be heavily favored at home and would win. But still, if the Cowboys could, put up a fight where it was 31, 28, in a thriller, or 31-24, where actually Dallas does some amazing stuff, that would be cool. And then definitely Ravens in the AFC Championship game, but then who do I want them to play? That's the question. I want the Cleveland matchup to happen prior, but if I had my choice right now, I would say my favorite matchup for me would be Cowboys-Niners NFC Championship game. Not saying that's the way it's going to play out, but that's just what I would want. But maybe that sports gods are listening and they say, okay, O'Dog wants this. Okay, Cowboys, 49ers, book it. That's what it's going to be, all right? And then on the other side, I think I would want to go Baltimore Ravens. And then I think for the other side, I would want to go Buffalo Bills. I think the Bills have a shit defense, but I really like what James Cook is cooking. And I like Josh Allen in this scenario where the Chiefs, and some of the other teams, maybe aren't the strongest versions of themselves. And I think, obviously you could have Chiefs in that scenario against the Ravens. That would be my number 2. But I think the Bills with Josh Allen and riding some momentum and trying to break history. And we've already seen the Mahomes story. What happens if we have a Lamar, Josh Allen battle to the death to try to see who's going to be the guy that gets to the Super Bowl first? And then everyone's heavy Lamar. But what happens if Josh Allen goes off and has a career game and then all of a sudden they get in? And it may not be this year, but next year. But I think for ratings and vibe, Chiefs Ravens, cool, but they haven't really been playing good at wide receiver. But if I can get a hot offense Bills and they're putting up points and they're fun and the defense is actually kind of playing, I think that obviously it would assume Ravens win, but maybe it's close and fun. and then Cowboys Niners, hopefully fun, but also could be Niners Ravens blowout, or they get eliminated before we even get to the AFC NFC Championship game by some kind of crazy shit like an injury, right? McCaffrey gets an injury, right? They're not the same. If that happens, not the same. Things change, right? Cowboys could win. McCaffrey has an injury. Cowboys could win even on the road. Twists an ankle in the first quarter, can't come back. That's a level playing field, more even, right? And then if you get the Chiefs and the Ravens, or the Browns and the Ravens, or the Bills and the Ravens, and you can just match points, and just figure out a couple splash plays. Who's to say that some of these other teams can't hang? I'm just giving you my 2 cents and my 3 cents. Steichen, Ryans, Stefanski. You can tell like his motivation and the way he talks. Like, I don't know, some people go deep and they want to like see, like for me, I want to do my research and I want to be able to like actually listen to the guy, learn information, and like and if I do more research on my end, I'm going to be able to come up with more smart predictions and predictions that come true. But everyone wants to be like Stefanski, but bro, and I know, dude, that's the guy that turned the shit around, not fucking Stefanski. Okay. Stefanski ain't running that goddamn defense. Boom. 3-0 Colorado is the final. Stacks on stacks, Rex on Rex. A little cactus jack, $5 holla. Thank you, man. 30 doll hairs. 70 to go. I'm going to go walk my dog, the pup, eat dinner late. They all might flocko around and find out. They might. You know what? It wouldn't even surprise me if the Browns made the Super Bowl. Sounds like crazy and stuff, but again, if the Browns and Ravens match up, that's not a good matchup for fucking Baltimore. That's like kryptonite. You don't want to see that shit. And if you're the Niners, you better not see the Rams in the NFC Championship game. Because if you want to fuck around and find out, like, could you imagine if we ended up getting something crazy like the Browns and the Rams? Like, I don't think that necessarily would happen for both, but sometimes, unnatural things happen and teams get hot. Because if you're the Niners, the Rams know you inside and out, right? And if you're the Ravens, the Browns know you. So it's like, it definitely gives the advantage to the lower team because the lower team is playing hotter and they're not intimidated like all the other teams in the division are. All the other teams in the division are like, fuck. But you're like, dude, we can beat your ass. Like, we see you twice a year. Yeah, you might be able to do it to these other guys. We're not afraid of your ass. Like our defense, like, yeah, we got it. Like, and if they have that vibe, then that's not McVay. And then you got not Stefanski, but Schwartz. They might all flacco around and find out. Any photos? What do you want me to throw up before I go? I'm going to go here in about like 7 minutes, probably. Even 3 hours. You let me know. You let me know. They are, right? Because you have to look at it from a strategy standpoint, right? You know what I'm saying? Like everything that, if I say something, it's all calculated. Everything that we do here is calculated. And you just have to try to like get into the head of the person and how they would do it or how you would do it if you were them. And type of, I'm telling you, if it's Ravens, Browns, and the AFC Championship game, and Flacco is like no interceptions, hot, just like he was when they did it for the Ravens. I mean, could you imagine? Like, you would start fucking worrying. Like, like it would get into the Raven players' heads. They would be playing tight, not loose. And that could be bad. And then the Niners, like, you're like, oh, we'll mop the floor with Dallas, Detroit, Tampa Bay, Philly. Garbage, right? And then all of a sudden the Rams, they're like, oh, they might be the worst one. Are they? They're not. Like I said, if I was putting the Rams in the pecking order, I might even put them ahead of Detroit. I might have the Rams right now as like number 3. Niners, Cowboys, Rams. Like, I don't want to play them. The Browns are up there too with Buffalo. Yeah, but what was the difference? The Super Bowl was won because Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware. If DeMarcus Ware was not on the team, no Super Bowl. We always have to remember those Hall of Famers that don't get talked about in that situation. Hall of Famers. Don't take my coach. Don't even think about it, okay? Don't even think about it. All right, I need to keep Dan Lanning. We're doing the Kraken tomorrow at 4 o'clock. We're going against the Caps, the Capitals, Alexander Ovechkin. He said, I got to go do some things. Later, brother. Any last minute photos of some things? Oh, baby. Early game tomorrow. It'll be awesome. And like the Kraken are one of the hottest teams in sports right now. Not just NHL, but like anything. So it's like once you got like goalie play and, you know, like things are very, very, like for me, like it takes a long time for me to decide like who my favorite players are, you know, especially like if it's something new to a team. Like if it's the first year, you know, second year, it might take me 3 or 4 years to like really decide like who I like. And, you know, like I like a lot of the players on the team, but, you know, to see Joey Decor do what he's doing, if he can keep the job and take over Grubauer's job as being the number one moving forward, I think like that's like my guy, you know, and I like goalies, like catchers. So anytime if like we can have a solidified guy, we don't have to look for a draft pick or a free agent. Joey is going to be the guy for the next like 5 to 10 years. If that was the case, yeah, maybe I like that would be the jersey I would want. You know, I want his. Can't wait to see him play. All good, man. That's a good choice. I got to walk Paisley in the dock. Reflect is a Saul Goodman. Smart. Make sure you're taking care of your mental health. You only have one. Bowie says so. Take care of it. You can do it. Saul. You the man. And then I need to be able to find stuff like this, man. Judah is lucky. I'm like, all right, let me get you some Red Sox stuff. Ellis Burks, Mike Greenwell. I was like, I need a Mariner one like this pitching and like the bat swing. That is fucking sick. Like, never seen anything like that until today. Pretty cool. Well, I love you guys and I appreciate you guys very, very much. Yeah, seriously, dude, like for me, like if they do the bobblehead for him, which I don't think they have yet, like that's the one I would actually spend 50 to 100. I'm gonna buy like a beanie if I can get like a custom one with his number. You know, like it's like Patty Beniers is the guy that we drafted high, was supposed to be like the LeBron James for the Kraken, but hasn't really lived up to the expectations yet. Other guys that have come in or been there and played better. So I think Joey might be the superstar. It looks like he might be able to do it, man. He the man. He the man. You the man. Appreciate you guys. And yeah, I got to go do some exercise, eat some dinner. We'll be back tomorrow for the Kraken and the Caps at 4 o'clock Pacific time. Hang out with your boy. And hopefully we'll see what happens with Billy B and Harbaugh and all these other coaches and whatnot. Thank you to everyone that donated, commented, shared, reflect, and Megan and everyone else. I love you and appreciate you. All the people watching on Twitter/X as well. And shout out to Sarah and Reflect and everyone else. Matt, appreciate y'all. And I got one question for you. Who you know talks sports like us? The boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. And I'm out. Okay.